say they want their pocket full with blue silk. They want to stop you drinking full cream milk. The little red silk is not their true friend. The blue one have two extra knots on the end. So a tag on the toes, now they take it to hell. But look where we reach, well, I hear a madman ball as he spread out on a wall. He said, this is it, this is it, this is it, I've been hit. No time to give up, brother, no time to quit. Was the chant of a madman in this tale from a strange land. Maybe the chant of the madman is the only salvation. I say the chant of a madman in this tale from a strange land. Maybe the chant of the madman, Lord, is the only solution. Anyway you turn, somebody chanting to we. What for we and we go set you free. Somebody promising natural law. Fly like a yogi, end all the war. Seek inner peace, end all the pain. The same woman promising to go down again. Somebody promising to run all the bread. Somebody pushing a world-class head. Somebody clean out the weed well fast. But somebody letting the cocaine pass. Somebody promised to abolish the tax. Somebody promised to kill with the facts. Somebody promised to clean up the land. But in this clean land, rats still killing man. We bright little youths going to waste. Somebody binge the smile on their face. Somebody take one love off the shelf. Then the one love boys start to sell out themselves. Somebody going to end all this talk about race. But they can't tell me that with a straight face. Big men dying, the crime can't solve. A madman rant is my only resolve. I hear the madman walk as he lie on a wall. He said, this is it, this is it, this is it, I've been hit. But no time to give up, brother, no time to quit. A chant of a madman in this tale from a strange land. It was a chant of a madman in this tale from a strange land. Maybe the chant of the madman is the only salvation. Oh.
They say to me they want a musical change in pan. Well, I didn't tell them yes, but I didn't tell them no. I say, well, gentlemen, I'm gonna do the best I can. As long as you challenge me, well, I'm going to have a go. They all indicated that they were getting bored, and they will appreciate something new. So I thought it best to change to the minor chord to see really who is who.
Big band,
Who be on the tenor?
big band,
Bringing out the minor.
big band,
Up come the professor
big band,
to add to the fire.
big band,
Calling on Bradley
big band,
to challenge Beverly,
big band,
which means Desperado.
big band.
Go answer Tokyo. You go hear pan in A minor with a steel band from all over. You're gonna hear them on the battle. We're going to a test. You're gonna hear them on the pass. Burning the grass.
Big band, big band, big band, big band.
are there and then decide the minor should dominate. If not entirely, for most of the melody, you notice the chorus carries a simple hook from 7 to A minor. It's really designed to give you a strange new look on the road to Panorama.
Beat band,
They tell me carefully,
beat band,
preparing already,
beat band,
but something just tell me,
beat band,
and very not easy.
beat band,
No one ever mentioned
beat band,
the strength of Blue Diamond,
beat band,
forgetting that Sando
beat band.
would upset the whole show. You go hear pan in A minor, with them steel band from all over. You're gonna hear them at the back, they'll be going through a test. You're gonna hear them at the pass, going in the grass.
Beat band, beat band, beat band, beat band.
I want the boys to know the Grandmaster wish you well. Following the instruction, we should be sung in sweet. I do sincerely hope every single band excel. I know you're going to have the crowd falling over their feet. Remember, you're fighting for total quality, the spirit of carnival and good faith. Arrangement and interpretation certainly as to win all the judges praise.
Beat band,
They say Casablanca,
beat band,
Caliph and Invader,
beat band,
and some band from Arima.
beat band,
They master the minor,
beat band,
but I know you can't trust
beat band,
Solo and Exodus.
beat band,
All will be hoping to
beat band.
destroy it tomorrow. You're gonna hear pan in A minor, with them steel band from all over. You're gonna hear them at the back, they'll be going through a test. You're gonna hear them at the pass, going in the grass.
Beat band, beat band, beat band, beat band.
You began in the Senate of opposition and waited your turn. Then with Manning as your PM giving direction, you studied and learned. You paid attention to Robbie Van de Kamla, observed all their mistakes. So there is not one excuse that you can make, none that we can take. Cause we gave you a turn to right think PPM one protocol. Which is the whole interior. With propaganda, it's smelling strong sour. We give you 2 turns as PM of this nation. So now it's my Creole obligation to give you a turn before your resignation. Remember, it's we who call Eric Duffy. Recall Chambers done see it's your turn now. It's we who beat Robbie like a Bobali. Your turn now. So if we say you are a bully, don't take it personally. Your turn now. Go tell your friends and your family it comes with the duty. It's your turn now. Well, do not believe that we are afraid to call a donkey a ass or a spade a spade. We will pepper you like a show. Dr. Rowe, your turn now. Before you go, before you back and run away. I wonder what Penny and Amy have to say. Before you go, before you take the next away. You tell the world you go look, call the heart up. Once you get the vote. You said the buck is going to stop at the TP top when you took your vote. The airport scandal, section 24, email gate. Like a raging bull, you declared war and we took the gate. But since you get your turn, nobody at jail for corruption. Since you get your turn, no members of the opposition in prison. Since you get 2 turns, you promise to set things right. White collar crime you vow to fight. What is a set of back with no light? Remember is we who call pan the racists. We even call them rapists. Your turn now. Silver comes end up in jail till he come out looking frail. Your turn now. So if we say your government represents the 1%, your turn now. Where the rich get richer, poor man in the gutter. Your turn now. Do not believe your powers of Lekato could overthrow the power of a Calypso. The ancestors wouldn't allow Dr. Rowe. Your turn now. Before you go, before you back and run away. So much unemployment, but still you raise your pay. Before you go, before you take the net away. I remember. Disease, but running named Durat. Be Rottweiler, because every car that pass around the corner, you chase to be fire. Political battles that came your way, you stood up and fought. And when they came with the slander, and dare you say, you took them to court. So we did one turn to guard, protect, defend the treasury. We give you a turn to secure the national security. We give you 2 turns to be the mastermind. Reduce violence and crime, but murders at the highest of all time. Remember is we who call Manning Emperor, call him a dictator. Your turn now. Retreat, battles like a louse, kick him out while he's a house. Your turn now. So if we say you are a puppet, you're lying in him but pocket. Your turn now. And with your shiny bald head, you tread and then not you tread. Your turn now. Well, do not believe because you brought Manning down. You couldn't do the same to the Calypso crown and then act holier than thou. Dr. Rowe, your turn now. Before you go, before you back and run away. It's wash out behavior, just as Patrick said. Before you go, before you take the net away. After 45 years of public service, you deserve arrest. So you anointed as you're not young to try the best. So we hearing that you support this, having red Republic. Next election, we vote for smiling face to say that they have, cause you're killing your good tonight. You see, 5 economy. is we who call. Come like drunkard, she's smoking marijuana.
Your turn now.
When you say what's that? You talk about she meow.
Your turn now.
So if she talk about your father, the young thing that you slaughter.
Your turn now.
But wait, did I mention his $1 million pension?
Your turn now.
I will bring to light what is in the dark. I don't fear no toilet paper or the skin of back. To represent you, I don't make my vow. That is why I turn now. Before you go, before you
Back and run away.
well, I hope that you don't get vexed.
Before you go, before you think
But young son, your turn next. I wanna fly.
Happy New Year! The sun rises slowly over the hills. Everywhere is golden sunlight, but still, most nights its hotels are crowded. Medics and doctors are shrouded. They don't smile and they never will. Only vultures that they fill. Empty promises is what they get. No running water from year to year. Hearts that no one desire. That if there is a Messiah, someday they'll love with much bread. Come on, always beer and scanty. 10 people in a one-bedroom shanty. Boss to sell on the pavement. No vacancy, no employment. Get them firecracker from gunshot. Let us go when things get hot. Afraid to look out my window. So your voices song. I hear you. Sing the chorus. Yeah, yeah. Oh, oh. Crying. Crying. They're crying. Yeah. Mothers does just hold their head on the border, and them woman stronger than a wall. A big pusher eyeing your daughter, son in jail for manslaughter. Too bad for you, hear them bad boys no bail. That's the black man's strike. Like Shadow say, poverty is hell. Your little girl child belly start to swear. Some say life is a cycle, but don't draw she no circle. The way it all ends, only time could tell. Outside the siren keep howling, inside your belly will growling. Oh, this way very often, since you mention a coffin. One night, in bed you're sleeping, next night is a wave that you're keeping. So you pray to win the lotto, not to hear their voice. What they doing? I hear you. They're still crying. Yeah. Crying. Yeah, crying. 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 Yeah. Tempted pride they soldier on. Revolution made collections born. And often their tragic story brings a journalist glory.
Young thugs, they're thug protected. Almost every young girl expecting. So tomorrow, let's see tomorrow. And the other child to crying, crying, crying,
Voices running,
crying, yeah, crying, crying, yeah.
voices on the ghetto.
Social amenities, Lord heaven knows. Opportunities, well, them always close. Here I get walk once in white collar. If I can't stretch me dollar, later for me crap or smoke me pipe. Some just out of dead from gripe. Life just rape, dignity and pride. Till there's only bitterness left inside. And every day is a hustle. Arguments are settled with muscle. Till you're 6 feet deep by 3 feet wide. Watch. Children, should life keep on drifting? Something they're smoking or sniffing, or maybe they're trying to forget this life of misery and regret. No one to come to the rescue except Capleton and Bushu. So they boom boxes the Lego. The drunkard voices in there, so they're crying. They're still crying. They're crying and they're crying. Crying and they're crying. Yeah, yeah.
Voices on the ghetto.
Crying. 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 Voices from the ghetto. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We do hope. We do hope. Thank you.
Sufferers don't care who migrate from where or who living in whose place. Sufferers don't care who from country. Sufferers don't care who from town.
Sufferers only want to know
Where your food coming from?
this one for all them racists. This one for the racists. Anytime you bounce up a racist and you hear them running them out, it have a whole set of people who care what they talking about. A racist is someone living happy and all their family doing well. So race talk is really not for people. In the ghetto catching hell. Now tell the racist, sufferers don't care about color. Sufferers don't care about race. Sufferers don't care who migrate from where or who living in who place. Sufferers don't care who from country. Sufferers don't care who from town. Sufferers only want to hear where their food from line up with the ID card. Or visit my village called Alvaro, where they get no war, not for years. So much different race, so much different color, with a bucket they don't shed in tears. Now tell the racists, sufferers don't care about color. Sufferers don't care about race. Sufferers don't care who migrate from where or who living in who place. Sufferers don't care who from country. Sufferers don't care who from town. Sufferers only want to hear what we let who's coming from. Visit the General Hospital, and I know that you would be shocked to see so much different race of people line up waiting on one dock, or pay a visit to the 8th ward where they find no cure as yet. People don't know the race, yeah, remember the color. All they know is that they're facing death. Now tell the racists, sufferers don't care about what? Sufferers don't care about race. Sufferers don't care who migrate from where or who living in who place. What? Sufferers don't care who from country. What? Sufferers don't care who from town. Sufferers only want to hear where the food coming from. A racist is someone who has something that they want to protect. So they will always keep on talking the race talk till the day of the death. But for people, we have nothing. Don't know where the next meal coming from. So I want you to go and to tell all the racists, suffering makes us one. Tell the racists, sufferers don't care about color. Sufferers don't care about race. Sufferers don't care about race. No, sufferers don't care who migrate from where or who living in who place. Tell the racists, sufferers don't care who's from country. Sufferers don't care who from town. Sufferers only want to hear what? One more.
just a chink in the armor. There's enough to lose a friend. Some of the old generals have retired and gone, and the runs don't come as they did before. But when the two says go, don't you know the desert leaves come? We've lost the battle, but yet we will win the war. As long as we rally round the West Indies, one forever. Rally round the West Indies, never say never. Pretty soon the runs are gonna flow again like water, bringing so much joy to each and every son and daughter. So we gonna rise again like a raging fire. As the sun shines, you know we gon' take it higher. We gotta rally round the West Indies, one forever, yes. Rally round the West Indies, stoke up the fire. Way down under, a warrior falls. Michael Holding falls in the heat of the battle. Michael should have left long time. I heard an angry brother shout, Caribbean man, that is the root of our trouble. Oh, in these tiny theaters of conflict and confusion, better known as the Isles of the West Indies, we already know who brought us here and who created this confusion. So I'm begging my people, please, oh, we gotta rally round the West Indies, now and forever, yeah. Rally round the West Indies, stoke up the fire, cause pretty soon the runs are gonna flow again like water, bringing so much joy to each and every son and daughter. So we gonna rise again like a raging fire. As the sun shines, you know we gon' take it higher. What we got to what? Rally round the West Indies, one forever, yeah. Rally round the West Indies, never say never. Now they're making restrictions and laws to spoil our beauty, but in the end, we shall prevail. This is just not cricket. This thing goes beyond the boundary. It's up to you and me to make sure that they fail. Soon we must.
I hear you loud and clear on your side. Loud and clear, loud and clear. Hold on, hold on, hold on.
devastating spectacle. Of course, Myro is very bad too, and so too is Canawan and Palm Island. But Union is a field of devastation. There's only the odd building that is not severely damaged or destroyed. The roofs of all these buildings are gone. The building of the terminal of the airport, the roof is gone, and the building itself compromised. The hospital, other state facilities, schools. There is a sense of shock among people, yet at the same time, a determination to rebuild. Some, of course, in the interim, many would like to leave, and some came out today on the fast ferry and also on Metro Express. I'd asked that they take out persons. We're going to build it back. We're going to build it back better and stronger. We're going to turn this terrible setback into an advance. Some people, of course, a significant number of people say they're not going anywhere, just staying there. They build it back there. I met a woman and two of her children, and they said that, go where? I'm not going anywhere, I'm building back here. So that there's a mixed set of responses. There are a couple of people said it's too much for their psychological makeup. There's a lot of trauma on the faces of men, women, and children are strained and anxious. It's an extraordinarily difficult time. We have to clean up. Tomorrow I'll send back vessels again to transport persons out and to bring more supplies. But everywhere I go, I'm optimistic with people about building back. So we're almost near universal. They say we're dependent on you. We're relying on you. And the isolation complicates the problem. But we have to get the cleanup going, and we have to begin to mobilize the builders. We have to put tents for people to stay in while they do the construction, and it is going to demand a lot of resources. Building back here is huge. And if you notice, most of the houses, big houses, people had spent a lot of money on building these houses, both hard in different walks of life, different professions, occupations, and within a 45-minute period, an hour, it's gone. It is a huge challenge demanding solidarity from all our people and from our allies in the region and in the international community. But I'm sure that we will get there. We will rebuild, and we will rebuild stronger, more resilient, sustainable development. That's what we aim for.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I know a lot of you would have stayed on the live. We were setting up this thing behind the scene, and we run into some equipment failure. Ladies and gentlemen, today is the 17th of the 11th month 2025, and in concordance to what have been played there, we here in Trinidad and Tobago have been observing the attacks on Ralph Gonsalves by the Trinidad and Tobago government. And that, my friends, is very bad. And why I'm saying that today particularly is based on the response of the Honorable Prime Minister Kamla Prasad Bisesa. Now, just yesterday, CNC3 would have released a press conference stating that the Honorable Prime Minister would have said, if Ralph Gonsalves wants to take legal action, he's free to do so. But just a few months ago, after April 28th, plenty people from in media, people who are observing, people who are watching, would have stated this. They would have said to you, Trinidad and Tobago, that Philip Edward Alexander and Anil Roberts is two watchdogs for the government. Many people asking, what is Philip Alexander portfolio in the ministry, being a minister in the Ministry of Housing? What is Anil Roberts' portfolio? Because relentlessly, we have been seeing them attacking people on social media. And if we're supposed to look at the timeline, many of us just forget. This thing with Venezuela, or you remember the comments of Philip Edward Alexander? Now this thing here come again. It raises ugly head up. Ralph Gonsalves would have been issuing statement after statement within the public domain. And when certain reporters would have asked Kamla Prasad Bisesa on a response, she would have said that Ralph Gonsalves could take legal action if he wants to. Although she didn't say publicly that she agreed with Anil Roberts, she was opposed to Ralph Gonsalves' statement. And we know the girl. If Kamla Prasad Bisesa dislike what you are saying, she did it with Tanku. She threw him under the bus. She said, I didn't say that. Or you go attack Tanku. And in this instance, we would have seen she never would have rebutted the statement from Anil Roberts. She would have said if Ralph Gonsalves want to take legal action, he is free to do so. Ladies and gentlemen, that right there is an endorsement of the attacks of Ralph Gonsalves by the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. A man that would have stand up for his people. We are seeing now the UNC government is engaging in scathing attacks on Ralph Gonsalves. His wife, his children in this country.
Of Canawan, Mairo, and Union Island from the air. And Union Island, of course, is the most devastating spectacle. Of course, Mairo is very bad too. And so too is Canawan and Palm Island. But Union is a field of devastation. There's only the odd building that is not severely damaged or destroyed. The roofs of all these buildings are gone. The building of the terminal of the airport, the roof is gone, and the building itself compromised. The hospital, other state facilities, the schools. There is a sense of shock among people, yet at the same time, a determination to rebuild. Some, of course, in the interim, many would like to leave, and some came out today on the fast ferry and also on Medway Express. I asked that they take out persons. We're going to build it back. We're going to build it back better and stronger. We're going to turn this terrible setback into an advance. Some people, of course, a significant number of people saying they're not going anywhere, just staying there. They're building back there. I met a woman and two of her children, and they said that, go where? I'm not going anywhere, I'm building back here. So that there's a mixed set of responses. They're profitable. It's too much for their psychological makeup. There's a lot of trauma on the faces of men, women, and children are strained and anxious. It's an extraordinarily difficult time. We have to clean up. Tomorrow I'll send back vessels again to transport persons out and to bring more supplies. But everywhere I go, I'm optimistic with people about building back. They say we're almost near universal. They say we're dependent on you. We're relying on you. And the isolation complicates the problem. But we have to get the cleanup going, and we have to begin to mobilize the builders. We have to put tents for people to stay in while they do the construction, and it is going to demand a lot of resources. Building back here is huge. And if you notice, most of the houses, the big houses, people had spent a lot of money on building these houses, both had in different walks of life, different professions, occupations, and within a 45-minute period, an hour, it's gone. It is a huge challenge demanding solidarity from all our people and from our allies in the region and in the international community. But I'm sure that we will get there. We will rebuild, and we will rebuild stronger, more resilient, sustainable development. That's what we aim for.
That was Ralph Gonzalez standing up for his people within his country. Something that are shoes that Anil Roberts could never fill. But yet still, the boy given his mouth liberty underneath the ostracy of Kamla Prasad Bisesa. To attack a prime minister don't worry yourself, you don't worry yourself behind there. I hearing you, I know you're hearing me now. You hearing me? Well, right. I stay a while before I get here up on the screen. But anyway, I miss you just now there. I know you dive out. I don't know for what reason. But let me bring up the gentleman that's supposed to join me, the man that make me come on late today. So I'm bringing up Fearless here on the screen here tonight. And Fearless, I'm putting you up your live and direct here with me. And I'm going to load on this background music. I want the public to hear you. Right, Fearless.
Good evening to the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes, good evening. Well, I mean, Fearless, you can't stop just so, because at the end of the day, we was trying to make this thing take we over 20
let's jump
minutes.
Straight into it. I see we talking about the drunkard. And I end up jumping over to YouTube.
Uh-huh.
I paused just sorry. Am I paused or am I running?
Yeah.
No, my camera like pause a little bit.
Well, nah, you're running now. You're running.
Oh, yeah. Well, I saw the drunkard video a little bit, and then I saw you're showing what was happening with Ralph Gonzalez and what he was doing in St. Vincent and stuff. But go ahead, Redison, I'm here.
No, the reason why I would have showed that clip concerning Ralph Gonzalez, no way Anil Roberts could walk in the man's shoes. But yet still the man had the worst of the worst thing to say about Ralph Gonzalez.
Mm-hmm.
And to see that the Prime Minister of this country would have made a press release stating to Ralph Gonzalez, if he want to go to court, he could go ahead. That show that the attack from Anil Roberts have been certified by Kamla Prasad Bisesa. And we have to ask the question, why? Why is our Prime Minister, why is she doing that? Why is she go go put Ralph Gonzalez's children in danger.
Mhm.
Because I would have heard in the grapevine that the people and them, they are frightened for their lives.
Yes, yes,
And as a
yes.
commentator, he's a person. I mean, I want to say 2 cents on this, because it I'm in utter disgust concerning what has been seen with Anil, because every time we see him on social media attacking people left, right, and center, and we want to know, well, wait now, what she really had this man there for, and now we are seeing that she's agreeing. And I want to know if going forward within the future, that the people of Trinidad and Tobago, anytime they say something, if she's going to let loose Anil Roberts on them.
Well, you have to remember that is where she have the Patong, who is the T-string panty man, and then she also has the narcissistic fella
Mm-hmm.
who also works in the ministry, and then she had the drunk man. So you have drunkard, street string, and also you have the narcissistic fella who believes he's the best spin doctor. But you had to take into consideration too. You see, the reason why I didn't say anything on the matter for a long while is because, one, I am also a HDC homeowner. I am a HDC homeowner, and I don't hide nothing, because when they hide a thing and it come out in the public domain, everybody will be like, "Oh, what he think this, that, the other?" Yes, I am a HDC homeowner, and I have realized that if he could do that to them, if Anil Roberts could do that to them, and by exposing their business in the road, putting all not just the business alone, but putting all the private documents, the bank account, every single thing in the public domain, then I, as a homeowner, what is me to say that they are willing to put my private information in the public domain for the world to see, so that any Tom, Dick, and Harry could come after me and say, well, okay, how much money you have in your bank account? How much money you have in this? How much money you have in that? How much money you're making? This woman is making people's life a security risk. And by not putting a stop to it, by firing Anil Roberts, she is actually condoning, and she's also becoming an accomplice to the crime that he has committed. And as a man who is working in the ministry, he's a permanent secretary. He comes like a permanent secretary in the Ministry of Housing because he's a minister in the Ministry of Housing.
Mm-hmm.
He's not the substantive minister. And for he to take people private documents, even though it's a government institution, but they conducted a private transaction with that institution and bring it out in the public domain as a minister in the Ministry of Housing, which is a permanent secretary, did the minister or the permanent secretary, substantive permanent secretary for the Ministry of Housing, authorize Anil Roberts to take people documents out of the ministry and bring it in the public domain on his platform, in which he is also an employee of the ministry? Did he get permission to do that? Did he get permission to do that? And why is the Prime Minister waiting so long to fire Anil Roberts for stealing documents from the Ministry of Housing? Because I test, that is theft. He took the documents, and who authorized him to remove those documents from off? Because he can't say nobody send him the document because he's working in the ministry.
Right.
So
right,
you have
right,
to
right.
be acknowledged to those information.
Right. So we're trying to say that he steal the document. We're saying,
He
you're trying
stole
to
the
say.
documents. He stole the documents with the intention to bust a mark. But like he didn't read all the documents properly because he didn't see the ID card in the document. Like he didn't see certain things that would have been attached to the document. to say that this document, that these people who purchased the house are Trinidadians. And the reason why they purchased the house in Trinidad is because of what will have happened in St. Vincent. The house get mashed up. And these houses were being sold on the open market, meaning that any Tom, Dick, and Harry who have the money could come and buy it. So whether it's a 1%er, a 0%er, a 100%er, you could buy the house on the market. So what Anil Roberts did is stole the documents from the Ministry of Housing, brought it to the public domain, so himself take the documents for himself, and as a so-called media journalist, reporter, whatever he want to call himself, making the news. So he make the news, create the news, and bringing the news to you. So he,
Yeah, well,
so he's everything in one.
Well, I
So
know
he's
you
minister,
give my
journalist,
I know you
everything
give my
in one.
journalist play.
He told everybody.
I know you give my
So
journalist play.
he creating the news and busting the news at the same time. So
I know you
then
give my
that criminal-
journalist play.
Well, he is proclaimed to be a journalist and a reporter, but he's selling pillory and doubles. So I don't know which one it is. He can't be wanting to be a doubles and a pillory seller, and you still want to be working in the ministry. Which one it is? You understand, Renison?
Yeah, I understand. And you see, the man is attacking people. The man is attacking people all over the place. The man attacking people. And we wanted to know for the longest while why this man keep on attacking people. So on social media, is Anil Roberts getting paid to attack people? And if we are seeing that Kamla Prasad Bisesa agreeing with the attacks on little children, you understand? God only knows, because when the Venezuelans the other day say that she's a criminal, people wanted to know. This year, Anil Roberts didn't just go against Ralph Gonzalez, you know. He bust mark against the man children too, you know.
Yeah.
And trying to paint a perception as the man, like if the man defraud Trinidad and Tobago, you know. He get it.
Not only just defraud.
And here what David Lyda saying, you can hear it, you know, that the man pay for the price of these things and them under market value. That is the perception that the UNC is selling within the public domain.
Well, not just defrauding, no, but as though he committed a criminal act by stealing the money from St. Vincent and siphoning it down to Trinidad. So that money laundering, you're trying to implicate the man in it. To purchase the house, to cover off where we're doing the people money. Because apparently the people in St. Vincent didn't know that Ralph Gonzalez, who have a wife in Trinidad, who have a wife who's a Trinidadian, purchased the house down here. The two children purchased houses also. So he tried to make it look as though the people, the man take the people of St. Vincent money to
Trinidad
buy
and Tobago, and especially to the more than 100.
When the man's wife actually is a Trinidadian and she's entitled to purchase a property in Trinidad.
And you see, fearless. I put this video up on the screen there. Right? I wait to see that video. You see, people feeling that this thing is a joke. Now, if you're here with David Lyda say he make it.
Trinidad and Tobago, and especially to the more than 100,000 citizens who are patiently waiting in line to get approval on HDC homes. Many of you would have seen and been in shock where you see on social media where Minister Anil Roberts, the Minister of Housing, Minister in the Ministry of Housing, exposed the fact that family members of the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, namely his wife, his son and his daughter, were able to purchase government-subsidized $1 million HGC homes. Now, you would have seen back and forth between the Prime Minister, and you would have also seen a number of documents floating around social media. Documents which I have here in my hand here now. And I took the opportunity, given that my mother, who was a real estate...
Now, where David Lyda really saying in a nutshell, I'm fearless. I know you just tell me you're in here. So, where David Lyda saying in a nutshell, and the picture that David Lyda trying to paint is that Ralph Gonzalez buy the house under market value.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's the same thing you was hearing from Anil Roberts' lives, and them he do plenty. And what he's implicating the man in is a conspiracy, because every time I hear him, he's saying that Rowley partner, that Rowley boy. He implicating the man in a conspiracy to defraud the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, because Rowley, if Rowley sell, let me put it as that, if Keith Christopher Rowley sell Ralph Gonzalez a house underneath market value, which means the stealing from the citizens. So the man didn't just playing the doubles, the man who's selling Polori, Anil, he didn't just come out with papers in it. He trying to implicate the man in a crime, in corruption. So when people saying that this man have to get charged, and he not just did that in he put the man's children on the firing line.
Well, it's not only Trinidad. He tried to create and paint the picture that he committed a crime, you know. He also tried to create a picture as though he defrauded the people of St. Vincent the money and siphoning it down to Trinidad to purchase property under market value. Because where the money come from, he trying to paint in the picture of the picture into people's mind that Ralph Gonzalez taking away money from St. Vincent and buying house for his wife and children down in Trinidad to make it look like the man involved in some kind of corrupted deal from St. Vincent. And the man is a corrupted leader. You see, what Anil Roberts and them failed to do is go and check the facts properly. But what they want to do is work with the opposition who is wearing the same yellow. So they tell themselves, Kamala Persad-Bissessar don't have the support from Ralph Gonzalez. So let me go to the opposition. And as it's election time, we will go and work with them opposition in St. Vincent, because them is yellow. We go support them, we go help them, and when we help them and they get into office, they will now support we with the so-called war that we festering with the United States of America to go and invade a sovereign nation to bomb the people and them to get their minerals and their resources. That is what's going on, you know. That is what's going on.
This thing real different. And you see, it must be particularly frightening to the people at Trinidad and Tobago, because watch, today Slimy would have done a show earlier on where he would have done a live and the team was behind him for him to finish up. You understand? We basically rush him into it. And what Keith Rowley would have said, it sent shockwave through Trinidad and Tobago. Where he would have explained that plenty of our oil and gas and thing is coming just about 6 miles off Venezuela coast.
Yeah.
And the serious, far-reaching implication that could have on us because of the alignment of Kamala Persad-Bissessar and this government, and the U.S. government, Donald Trump. And showing to us the position that Kamala Persad-Bissessar would have taken and how it could destroy this country. Because it's not only me alone. I thought I was hearing nonsense when Sean Sobers talk. I say, boy, what kind of nonsense could be passed as statement within the public domain? Conjecture. This is conjecture. Two people get bum up and people is asking for the facts. How come? You see, for a lawyer, Sean Sobers is playing, how did I say, verbal, intellectual gymnastics with people. When you shift the burden of proof and saying, well, you have to go and report it to the station, we don't know if they really bum up. And the US releasing thousands of, hundreds of reports all the time. They just kill 3. They just bum up somebody outside it. And when people are saying, hey, my son, 2 Trinidadians get caught up in that, all of a sudden, all of them turn drug lords. They're in drugs. We here in this country is still holding on to a dream that the UNC sell us. And if any one of you outside there in listen to the press conference from Keith Rowley, I suggest or you go back through it and dissect it within parts. Slimy already did it today. We go back through it again tomorrow because we have our next show. Seeing that we pan out this problem here. If it is tomorrow, fearless, that we think we got to run it like this. Yeah, we got to run it like this.
Yeah, we gotta do it. We gotta do it like this tomorrow. There no problem. But let me just go back to where you said just now, then. With the whole thing with the gas deal and Sean Sobers and all them and take this thing to the police and all them dotishness. You have 2 persons who would have been murdered. Well, one person apparently kind of survived. I don't think he died. And he was seeking medical treatment. We haven't heard anything what happened to the man as yet. We don't know what's going on. But we still trying to find out all the information on that individual. But one of the fellas, he's from Las Vegas, and he would have died in the whole bombing exercise. Do you know, Relison? I got to find out that somebody in this administration is threatening the family from going to the Colombian, because remember the Colombians and the Colombian president called on this particular family to come forward so that they could put together the rest of the information and the case to go to the International Criminal Court to bring Kamala up in the International Criminal Court. Somebody in this administration is blocking the family and threatening the family that if they go forward, things could happen to them. Relison?
What you really saying, by?
Relison, the family of this man who died, who was on his way to Trinidad, the man would have bombed this boat that left 20 minutes. They say it's 20 minutes off from Venezuela. The man was heading up from Venezuela to come up from the southern part of Venezuela to the southern part of Trinidad to head up to the north coast. That boat was bombed. And the family is being told by somebody in this administration, if you come forward, things could happen to you. That is why the family is afraid to come forward and go to the embassy, the Colombian embassy, so that the Colombian president could gather the information and put together the information to carry to the International Criminal Court to bring Kamala up on international war crimes and also crimes against humanity. Because Kamala Prasad Bisasa is the one who said bomb them violently. So she gave the orders to bomb them violently. And this administration is blocking. Somebody in this administration is threatening the family. I am being told not to come forward, or else things could happen to you. I don't know if the things could happen to the person and the family, but the family is afraid to come forward to even go and make a report in the police station. Imagine that. And your family died in a bombing, but you're afraid to come forward. Why is that? Well, son, let me tell you something. They feel it's joking. Somebody must be held accountable for this action that took place. And the nearly how much? 70 something people who would have died on these boats without a judge, a jury. They never face a judge, they never face a jury, they never reach a police station, they was bombed because somebody gave the orders to kill them violently. Think about it.
Watch me. You keep on registering that bomb them violently thing, but yeah. I'm fearless, boy. Wait, sir.
I'm telling you.
When you say that, it running chills up my spine. I'm being real with you. When you tell me that way, you know, say they running chills up my spine. Because we know who say bomb them violently.
Well, it's the leader of the country, the prime minister of the country. And people like the afraid to tell Kamala what she said is you could give the orders. Whereas you could tell a man to go and do something without pushing the button. You know that, right? You could give the orders to a man to go and commit a crime without pushing the button or pulling the trigger. Because you tell the people, you said it 3 times, you didn't say it once, and then so you know it was a mistake. You said it twice, you said it 3 times to confirm. Bomb them violently. Imagine that, or kill them violently. So when you killing people violently, we're telling them, Kamala have any bombs to drop to blow up any boat?
No, she giving the order to the US.
Okay. So anybody who want to be held before the courts of Trinidad and Tobago, not Trinidad and Tobago, but the international court, because they say it was bombed in the international waters when they know for a fact they have no international waters in the Caribbean because everybody's splitting up a piece of the Caribbean waters. Where the international waters in the Caribbean seas? Where it is? Kamala and them feel people dotish. Sobers and them realize the Bamsi quaking because anytime Kamala fall, all of them who complicit with the crime will also face the consequences and have to make a jail too. And if they feel that because Kamala old, she can't go and get the death penalty, she could damn well face the death penalty, just like how the Philippine president facing the death penalty right now in the International Criminal Court. Because it's war crimes. There's crimes against humanity. And Kamala, as a lawyer, should know better. But you notice the Law Association of Trinidad and Tobago ain't saying nothing. Yeah, no, we had to do this program. We had to continue this program tomorrow, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it had to continue because the people have to know the truth that's taking place within this country, no matter what it takes, a matter of fact. Because there are people outside there that trying to block what's going on here, you know. There are people want people to be foolish, you know, because they would have seen the effects of people being foolish in this election that just passed. So when you have one set of people only talking and trying to gang rape you all on social media, Philip and Anil Roberts included, that drunkard. And Anil Roberts are saying it here without contradiction, without fear of contradiction. Anil Roberts, the attacks that he does measure out on the public is blessed by Kamala Prasad Bisesa. Kamala blessing it. Because she would have said, fearless, that if Ralph Gonsalves wanted to take the UNC to court, they could go ahead. Which means she agree with Anil Roberts. Anil Roberts' action have Kamala blessings. Let's not make no mistake about that.
But who paying for it?
We, the citizen.
Who paying?
I ain't seen you there, fearless. I feel you sticking on your side. Who paying for it? We paying for it. We paying for it. Fearless, I seen you sticking on this side, on your side. I know what's taking place there. Right, so Trinidad and Tobago, the attacks that have been met out on the St. Vincent and Grenadines Prime Minister have been authorized by Kamla Prasad Bisesa. Many of you that are outside, they can't see the picture either, because watch, the amount of nonsense that they try to fill your head with on social media. Look at Anil Roberts. Listen to him.
Doubles and coffee. Recently, I find a CARICOM leader, the current Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Honorable Ralph Gonsalves. I find he was a bit undiplomatic, inappropriate, very disrespectful of the current Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa, as she tries to keep her country safe, uphold her promises to the people to allow them to live in our beautiful Twin Island state with safety and security. A major tenet of that plan is crippling the narco trade, the narco terrorists, the cocaine trade, the drug trade, the gun trade, and the human trafficking trade that has plagued our beloved country of Trinidad and Tobago, making blood flow in the streets. So Kamla Prasad Bisesa is against drug traffickers, cocaine traffickers, gun smugglers, and human traffickers. But the Honorable Ralph Gonsalves, with a sort of fervor that baffled me, was disrespectful and attacked Kamla Prasad Bisesa, calling her misguided and stating that CARICOM needed leaders that are statesman-like and woman-like, stateswoman-like. I wondered where this passion and this disrespectful attitude came from with Ralph Gonsalves. Listening to him as he addressed some UE forum and other places, I saw him maybe sounding like Keith Rowley or the PNM. And I wondered, why would this man be beholden to the PNM? Why would he be talking with venom against the United National Congress?
So at the end of the day, anybody that speaks against the current Prime Minister, Anil Roberts, takes it upon himself to go after you. And you, Trinidad and Tobago, we, a matter of fact, paying for that. We are paying his salary to attack us. And not only the factor that Anil Roberts must apologize, he must resign. Because at the end of the day, when Ralph Gonzalez take this thing to court, it's taxpayers' money going and pay for this trial. We must give Jackie Jacket and Jimmy Jim Boots. There are a lot of foolishness taking place here now since after April 28. And there are many of you that is so afraid because an ethnic cleansing is taking place here in Trinidad and Tobago right before our eyes. And we haven't just a few black people scattered about. Yeah, we go give him a board position. We go give that one our next position. So that is what's taking place here to tie up this. So when that take place, what you think going to happen? I seen them. I seen all of them. I seen all of these media houses, these presenters and them not taking their estate seriously. There is the reason why it is called freedom of the press. And when I, Renison Jeffrey, get up here and call Anil Roberts a drunkard, Anil Drunkard Roberts, this is what I mean.
I'm good, how are you?
Yeah, nice day.
Nice meeting you. Enjoy your carnival.
Yeah.
I know. I know. I know.
Yo.
Look, celebrity. Look, go and take a picture. I know. Look. Hi, I know.
How are you going?
I'm good, how are you?
Yeah, nice day.
Nice meeting you. Enjoy your carnival.
Yeah.
Of Canawan, Nairo, and Union Island from there. And Union Island, of course, is the most devastating spectacle course, Myro is very bad too. And so too is Canawan and Palm Island. But Union is a field of devastation. There's only the odd building that is not severely damaged or destroyed. The roofs of all these buildings are gone. The building of the terminal of the airport, the roof is gone and the building itself compromised. The hospital, other state facilities, the schools. There is a sense of shock among people, yet at the same time, a determination to rebuild. Some, of course, in the interim, many would like to leave, and some came out today on the fast ferry and also on Metro Express. I'd asked that they take out persons. We're going to build it back. We're going to build it back better and stronger. We're going to turn this terrible setback into an advance. Some people, of course, a significant number of people saying they're not going anywhere, just staying here. They build it back here. I met a woman and two of her children and said that, go where? I'm not going anywhere, I'm building back here. So that there's a mixed set of responses. There are a couple of people said it's too much for their psychological makeup. There's a lot of trauma on the faces of men, women, and children are strained and anxious. It's an extraordinarily difficult time. We have to clean up. Tomorrow I'll send back vessels again to transport persons out and to bring more supplies. But everywhere I go, I'm optimistic with people about building back. They say we're almost near universal. They say we're dependent on you. We're relying on you. And the isolation complicates the problem. But we have to get the cleanup going, and we have to begin to mobilize the builders. We have to put tents for people to stay in while they do the construction, and it is going to demand a lot of resources. Building back here is huge. And if you notice, most of the houses, the big houses, people had spent a lot of money on building these houses, both hard, in different walks of life, different professions, occupations, and within a 45-minute period, an hour, it's gone. It is a huge challenge demanding solidarity from all our people, from our allies in the region and in the international community. But I'm sure that we will get there. We will rebuild, and we will rebuild stronger, more resilient, sustainable development. That's what we live for.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And we must ask ourselves the question, Can Anil Roberts step in the shoes of that individual? The drunkard. Can Anil Drunkard Roberts step in the shoes of the St. Vincent Prime Minister? Or you don't get chained up from people in it. In this wrongs here, a wrong is a wrong in it. And don't allow people to chain you up without providing evidence of such. When we are hearing and seeing confirmation that the UNC is trying to engage in a matter of fact in upsetting an election in St. Vincent, yes, we trying was to pull up the man wife terrified at what's going on here in Trinidad concerning these ministers and them.
The NDP gets in, it ends with you and your family. Well, the political malice has started against my family. But if the NDP gets in, it ends with you and your family. They are attacking Grace Walters viciously, and now they're lying about us. Here's the truth. While I love St. Vincent and the Grenadines with all my heart, I was born in Trinidad, and I am Trinidadian with roots in Dominica. After my then 90-year-old mother's property was destroyed in Hurricane Maria, we as a family invested in property in Trinidad, where two of my mother's sons, my brothers, and her grandchildren reside. We bought the apartments at market rate after our family suffered a tragedy. Soon these wicked men will expose a contract for an immensely qualified engineer who is building our modern hospital, which the NDP would destroy. These power-hungry people will stop at nothing to destroy all the good that SVG represents. Ask yourself, if these wicked men are willing to demonize our family, put the modern hospital at risk, and ruin our country's reputation, what would they be willing to do to you and your family if they get in?
Doubles and coffee. Recently I find a CARICOM leader, the current Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Doubles and coffee. Ralph, you shouldn't sing no dancehall, boy. You should sing soca. Do back on we, do back, do back, Ralph. You start a back up and say you never attack Kamla Prasad sister, that you're very diplomatic. Anyway, Ralph, me dealing with you today, you know. Let me deal with Mr. Storm in a teacup. Storm in a teacup. You going to sue Anil Roberts? Storm in a teacup. You must learn who you're battling first. Anil Roberts' mother is a lawyer, father is a lawyer, older brother is a lawyer, Oxford, Harvard, younger brother is a lawyer, sister is a lawyer, and my son is a lawyer, and I is a bush lawyer. Me not afraid court, boy. Furthermore, you can't sue when man talk the truth, storm in a teacup. So hold on that purchase of Bitcoin. You're rather bougie elitist. You're talking about Bitcoin? Going to get Bitcoin from who? Me? Anil don't lie on nobody. Ask Rowley. Ask Smallpin. Ask Farris. Ask Foster. Ask Gadsby Dolly once you get off the red couch. Ask all of them. Anil don't lie on people, boy, Storm. So here what to do? Storm in a teacup. Storm Gonzalez. Before you sue and all them things, answer some simple questions now. One, what was your monthly income back when you applied to purchase this HDC Victoria Keys unit? What was your monthly income, your real monthly income? Show we. Secondly, how much income tax have you paid in Trinidad and Tobago while working and operating here in the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago as a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago with a passport? How much tax have you paid? Please tell the Douglas. Let me know. Come on, man. Show the records. Don't talk. But court, who you're afraid? Look at me storming a teacup. I'm so afraid. Furthermore, do you have a BIR number? That's a Board of Inland Revenue number, you see? You mightn't have known because, well, boy, if you never pay tax, you wouldn't know. Board of Inland Revenue number. What is it? Or not what is it? I don't want to know what is it. Do you have one? Or when did you get it? And why then, on this form, when they asked you for your BIR number, it was left blank? Then you have to ask, and the officials at HDC have to answer also, how could somebody, Newman George, Brent Lyons, PNM HDC officials, who has no BIR number, purchase a HDC house from the Housing Corporation of Trinidad and Tobago? So, Storm in a teacup, you answer them questions to me, right? And good luck. Now, let me deal with the real boss. 6-star general. You boasted about you some 6-star general.
Now, that was Anil Roberts Day. And again, he continues down a path. And before we close off, you have a little stiff neck, man. Take into the side a little bit. My neck stiff. You have put a little stiff neck this morning. But before we close off this program, we have an important video to play for you. It was already posted here on the channel. And to you that is outside there, we urge you to always look at our content. So before we go, we are going to play this video, and you, Trinidad and Tobago, and by extension the world, we ask you to pay attention. That is all we ask. For you to pay attention as to what is taking place within your country. My name is Renison Jeffrey, and this is the Workers' Rights Platform. We are broadcasting live on the Workers' Rights Network. And before we wrap up, pay close attention. The same man who was now talking, you will swear that he is more holier than thou, and that is not the case. Trinidad and Tobago. This person, if the laws of Trinidad was operating properly, he would not be outside to be telling all those type of nonsense that he does and those charades that he take all over social media. So with that, we will be ending our broadcast here tonight. And we ask you guys to pay attention as to what you are now going to see. My name is Renison Jeffrey. This is the Workers' Rights Platform. We are broadcasting live on the Workers' Rights Network. So to you that haven't subscribed, please subscribe to our platform. As of next year, this platform will be turned into a 24-hour service. Yes, 24-hour service, where you will be able to come up live anytime and see this platform running. So get your ads and thing inside while it's early, and for a period of time it is going to be free. Join us. Check out our website on www.workersrights868.com, and thanks for watching us here tonight. And so to you that haven't subscribed, please subscribe. My name is Renison Jeffrey. This is the Workers' Rights Platform. Share. It helps us. Click the like. The platform is monetized. It goes a long way. Trust what I'm saying. Your views, share it with a friend, with a family. Make the videos go viral so you could do something now. So we can get paid. And with that, I am out.
In Trinidad and Tobago, and World Cup 2014, especially being hosted in Brazil, is a serious issue. So serious is it that the Prime Minister, the Honorable Kamala Persad-Bissessar, gave me an instruction last year, I believe it was in October, that we were to support our football soccer warriors as they are Brazil bound to the hilt as much as was necessary. As you would understand, certain things had to be put in place first with regards to accountability, transparency, to ensure that we get value for money. So it took some time, but I must commend the TTFF for listening to the concerns of the ministry and the government and installing an authorization committee consisting of some of the most qualified, respected members of society in finance, in accounts, in marketing, in event management, in planning, to run and to account for the funds that your government, the People's Partnership government, is going to put into football to get us Brazil bound 2014. This is the first time.
We are not fearful of any backlash. I also don't wish to say that I don't believe him, but we have to act on the basis of evidence. But his conviction was not overturned on the merits. It was overturned on the basis of juror misconduct, so that the credibility and reliability of the evidence led against him at trial was not in any way undermined. And the Jamaican Court of Appeal, who decided not to order a retrial, did so on public policy considerations, and their decision in no way affected the creditworthiness or reliability of the evidence led at trial. So,
the Anil Roberts life sport case, timeline, legal arguments and outcome. Background and events. In 2012, under the People's Partnership government, then Minister of Sport Anil Roberts launched the Life Sport program, a bold initiative meant to uplift at-risk youth and steer them away from crime. But what began with hope and promise quickly spiraled into one of Trinidad and Tobago's most painful national scandals. Life Sport didn't just collapse, it crumbled under the weight of corruption, criminal infiltration, and horrifying mismanagement. Over 2 short years, the program hemorrhaged nearly $400 million in public funds, money meant to save lives, instead lost to what police sources linked to a surge in gang-related murders. Lives were lost. Trust was shattered. And the people paid the ultimate price. In July 2014, the scandal erupted into full view. An explosive audit by the Ministry of Finance's Central Audit Committee, CAC, exposed deep cracks. Unapproved payments, ghost participants, and shocking breaches of financial protocols. Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar had no choice but to shut down life sport. The findings were so grave, so damning, that the report was laid in Parliament. Shortly after, Anil Roberts resigned in disgrace and disappeared from public life. Legal proceedings and arguments. Judicial review of the audit report. But the story didn't end there. In a stunning legal twist, in November 2014, Ashwin Creed, then Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Sport, and 3 life sport directors fought back. They filed for judicial review, challenging the audit report's legality and the very process used to expose the scandal. Their core argument? They weren't given a fair shot. They claimed they were ambushed, never informed of adverse findings before the report went public. Their right to natural justice was violated. They were silenced before they could speak. The audit committee overstepped its bounds and shattered their legitimate expectations. High Court ruling. On October 24, 2016, the High Court sided with them. Justice Myra Dinama delivered a painful blow, not to the allegations themselves, but to the process by which they were aired. Her ruling thundered. The Central Audit Committee comprising the defendants infringed the claimant's right to natural justice in relation to the conduct of the audit into the life sport program. The failure to specifically inform the claimants before the making and/or publishing of the audit report was done in breach of the claimant's right to be heard and/or is procedurally unfair. The court quashed the audit report, declaring it fatally flawed because those named were denied a fair hearing. The state was ordered to pay legal costs. It was a procedural triumph, but not a moral one. Aftermath and misconceptions about vindication. Political and public reaction. Anil Roberts emerged from the shadows, fists raised, claiming vindication. At UNC rallies and press briefings, he boomed that the judgment proved his innocence, that the scandal was nothing more than a political witch hunt. Kamla Persad-Bissessar stood by him, suggesting the judgment cleared the way for his return to public life. But what was the truth? Attorney General's clarification. Then Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi gave the public a sobering reminder: this ruling was not an acquittal. It did not clear anyone of wrongdoing. It did not declare anyone innocent. It simply said the audit process was flawed, that people weren't given a chance to defend themselves before being named. The judgment didn't erase the allegations, it couldn't touch them. They remained raw and unresolved in the hands of the police. There was nothing in the law of the judgment to block criminal probes. The substance of the allegations are there. They're very actionable and they are with the respective authorities and are being acted upon. Deja explains the events and legal outcome. Let's cut through the noise. The life sport scandal wasn't about a man being found innocent in a courtroom. It was about a broken system, a betrayal of public trust, and lives endangered by a program that spiraled out of control. The High Court didn't say Anil Roberts was innocent. It said the report accusing him was published without due process, that it was unfair to drop such bombshells without giving him a chance to respond. That's not vindication. That's a technicality. Roberts and his allies may have spun it as a legal victory. But it was not a moral one. The police probe continued. The allegations of corruption, criminal connections, and public funds gone missing remained intact. The Attorney General made it clear the fight for justice was far from over. Conclusion. The life sport case wasn't about exoneration. It was about procedural fairness. Yes, the audit report was quashed, but not because the allegations were false. It was because the accused weren't given a voice before the public judgment. Let no one twist that into innocence. Anil Roberts' so-called vindication was a smokescreen, a distraction from the core issue. $400 million of taxpayers' money vanished under his watch. Communities still bear the scars. Families still grieve lives lost in the violence the program was said to fuel. And to this day, justice for the people remains painfully unfinished.
National Security Minister Stuart Young has yet another concern, this time about the presence of former Sport Minister Anil Roberts at UNC meetings. At a press conference on Wednesday, the minister said there's credible information that Mr. Roberts has aligned himself with gang members from the East-West corridor and believes his reappearance is meant to affect the outcome of local government elections.
I am cautioning that it appears as though there is a plan to utilize the criminal elements in our society to influence the outcome of voting in the local government election.
Minister Roberts was spotted at recent UNC political meetings.
The opposition leader says as far as she is aware, UNC Senator Anil Roberts is not under any police investigation. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley, commenting on Roberts' appointment this week, claimed that the senator who oversaw the controversial life sport program and is still engaging police attention found favor with Mrs. Kamla Persad-Bissessar. But speaking to reporters during the ceremonial opening of Parliament on Friday, the opposition leader said Mr. Roberts was never implicated in any investigation.
Entire audit report, there was nothing in that audit report which made any allegations against Anil Roberts or found him guilty of any such behavior. There was a court matter. It was not Anil Roberts who brought the court matter. The court matter was brought by Ashwin Creed, I think, the PS, challenging the validity of a report that was not based on natural justice. So Anil Roberts was nowhere implicated in the report itself, nor did Anil Roberts have to go to court.
This Persad-Bissessar adds that she has no knowledge of any of her members being under investigation and questioned whether any government members are.
Of any of the senators on the investigation, I'm not aware of any of the House members on, I don't know. Those are police matters, and unless there is hard evidence of any wrongdoing, we'll deal with it. There are other members of the House who are on the investigation as well. In the same way, you could say that my members are on the investigation. How do you know that members of the other side are not on the investigation? How do we know that?
The UNC leader says if there is any such investigation of any member of parliament, then that is a matter to engage the attention of the police.
But his conviction was not overturned on the merits. It was overturned on the basis of juror misconduct, so that the credibility and reliability of the evidence led against him at trial was not in any way undermined. And the Jamaican Court of Appeal, who decided not to order a retrial, did so on public policy considerations, and their decision in no way affected the creditworthiness or reliability of the evidence led at trial. So,
Government has moved a motion of privilege against UNC Senator Anil Roberts for statements he made in the public domain against President of the Senate, Christine Kangaloo. The motion was brought by Leader of Government Business in the Senate, Franklin Cann, on Tuesday. He said during a broadcast of the program Dogla Politics, Senator Roberts used satirical subtext to allege that in the discharge of her duties as presiding officer, the President of the Senate is biased towards him. Senator Cann said there are respectable and dignified ways to challenge the rule of the Senate and the decisions of the chair. He said Senator Roberts has brought the Senate as a whole into public ridicule.
I submit that the Senator has committed a most egregious contempt of this esteemed Senate. And in this regard, Madam President, I move that this matter be referred to the Committee of Privileges for investigation and report. I beg to move.
The Senate President referred the matter for the consideration of the Vice President of the Senate. Last week, Senator Roberts was put out of the Senate after he was asked to apologize for comments he made in the chamber.
The holidays are here, full of joy, family, friends, and yes, a little hustle and bustle. That's why you need Aleve. Between cooking, shopping, and all those extra errands, aches and pains can sneak in. Aleve is here to help with long-lasting body pain relief. Don't let body pain slow you down. With up to 12 hours of body pain relief per dose, you can keep up with the season's magic and all that awaits. Pick up Aleve and get back to what really matters, making memories. Use as directed.
Doesn't sound good, but Washington was the most dangerous place in this country, and now, you know what? It's probably the safest place in our country. Everyone's starting to come here. The restaurants now you can't get in. Many of them closed because they couldn't open with crime. Everybody before me is happy what I'm doing. Most of you won't say that because you're radical left. The newspapers are so dishonest. The press is totally dishonest, but that's all right. We've gotten used to it. And we won in a landslide, so they obviously lost their power. I mean, it's impossible to imagine that when you get 97% negative stories, purposely negative stories, even though you've done 97% positive things, that you could win an election in a landslide, winning all 7. Think of it, all 7 swing states, winning by the popular vote by millions of votes. We had it fantastic. The best is your districts. Out of 3,000 districts, I guess we won 3,500. We won 2,750, and they won 500. And that's, to me, the best of all. And we had tremendous in every way, the election. And it's hard to believe you can do that when you have a corrupt media. But many of you are corrupt, and it's nothing we can do about it. But we keep winning, and we're going to keep winning. And this whole story on crime is incredible that the Democrats wouldn't be with us. So the mayor of Chicago, I watched him this morning, he said, Trump doesn't know what he's talking about. He only apprehended 9 people. Well, number one, that's false. It's thousands. We'll get into that. But more importantly than anything, we took guns away. We have some of the worst career professionals out of the country already. They've been taken out of the country, and some are in solid confinement because these were killers. We arrested some very bad people. And in the last 11 days, again, I hate to say it because it sounds so ridiculous, but in the last 11 days, we've had no murders. And that's the first time that's taken place in years, actually years. We always have a murder a week. They call it a murder a week. You come here from Iowa, you come here from Indiana, you come here from Idaho, because you're so proud of your country, you love your country, and then you get murdered. Your son gets murdered, your daughter gets murdered, you get murdered. See the media, you get murdered. Many of you have been mugged in Washington, you just don't want to talk about it. And I know that every time I do this with you almost everything, but every time I do this with you, people are saying to yourselves, he's right, and then you write a negative story. But we are doing an incredible job. The people behind me are amazing. We're working very well with the Washington police, as you know. The DC National Guard is unbelievable. We're also getting tremendous help from Secret Service. And we are at a point where Washington is booming again. People are pouring in like we haven't seen for years. Nobody wanted to come here. They didn't want to come here and get murdered. I have a friend of mine who has a very successful son. And I said, where is your son going to be this weekend? He said, he's going to Washington with his friends. I said, really? Yeah, he's wanted to do it for 4 years, but he couldn't do it because it was so unsafe. And he's a tough kid, too. It's so unsafe. And he ended up staying 3 nights, going out to restaurants all 3 nights. He said it was so beautiful, so peaceful, because all the criminals are either arrested or they're hiding, and we're finding the ones that are hiding. So I want to thank Pam Bondi. I want to thank our vice president. I want to thank everybody standing behind me. Because they are really, Gaddy, you've been unbelievable, by the way. They have done an unbelievable job. They're working 24 hours a day. And Washington, D.C. is now in great shape. I'm going to be working with Clark Construction, which is by far your biggest construction company. And we're going to also beautify Washington. We're going to rip down the broken medians, fix them. We're going to put asphalt on the roads. We're not ripping them apart like these stupid people do. They rip a road. They rip a road down to the dirt, and then they spend 5 years in building the new one, and then it starts settling. You know, the whole thing is so crazy. And they'll spend hundreds of millions of dollars on a road. I'll spend about $2, and it'll look better. So we're going to be replacing medians. We're going to be replacing much of the asphalt in the road, which in the city, which is in bad shape. We have great stripers. We have great contractors, but we have to let them do the thing. The Congress has said that they'll give us whatever money is needed to fix up the Capitol. This is the Capitol. And we're not going to spend a lot. It's going to go fast, and it will be spotless. And we want it spotless for the World Cup and for the Olympics. You saw the World Cup was here the other day. And come to think of it, there's your trophy for the World Cup. In fact, it's solid gold. That's actually solid gold, so heavy that some of the people in this room wouldn't be able to lift it up. I think what I'm going to do is place it right above the angel, right over there. That's solid gold, too. We're going to put it right up there. Look at that. There's a solid gold trophy. They know how to get to me, you know. I like the angel better, to be honest with you. So we're going to sign, and then we'll take a few questions, and we'll tell you how good a job we're doing. We want to go from here to other places, but I was telling some of the people that in a certain way, you really want to be asked to go. You know, I hate to barge in on a city and then be treated horribly by corrupt politicians and bad politicians, like a guy like Pritzker. He ought to spend more time in the gym, actually. This guy is a disaster. Gavin Newsom's a disaster. When we went, we saved Los Angeles. You wouldn't have been able to have the Olympics in Los Angeles. You're barely able to have it now. They did lose 25,000 houses to a fire that should have never occurred, because they didn't let the water come down from the Pacific Northwest, which you guys don't want to write about. I had to break into the water supply to let the water down. And even now, we want more. We can have much more. It's less than half of what should be coming in. I don't know, they have a political thing about it. It's like the craziest thing I've ever seen. But I don't like going to a town, a city, place, a state, and then be criticized by some corrupt or incompetent governor where crime is rampant. Like, take a look at D.C. Crime was rampant. It was at the all-time worst. It got really bad during the Biden 4 years. And then I have a mayor stand up and say how crime has reached a 30-year low. 30-year low. People are being killed left and right. And it's not a 30-year low. Think of it. So for 11 days, there's been no murders. The record goes back years where that's happened. They haven't seen that happen in years. And then people stand up, and instead of thanking us, which they should do, and she's not that bad. She's better than most. But, you know, you have people, I watched in Illinois, Chicago, Illinois is a disaster. I have property there. It's a disaster what's going on in Chicago. And you get Pritzker, he's violating our rights. I think this is another men and women's sports thing. I think this is one of those, you know, they call them 80-20 issues. I call them 97-3. I think the Democrats better get smart. And, you know, politically, I hope they don't. But actually, in terms of love for the country, I hope they do, because it would be good to work together. So I'm thinking about, you know, when I have some slob like Pritzker criticizing us before we even go there, I made the statement that next should be Chicago, because as you all know, Chicago is a killing field right now. And they don't acknowledge it. And they say, we don't need him, freedom, freedom. He's a dictator, he's a dictator. A lot of people are saying maybe we like a dictator. I don't like a dictator. I'm not a dictator. I'm a man with great common sense, and I'm a smart person. And when I see what's happening to our cities, and then you send in troops, instead of being praised, they're saying you're trying to take over the republic. These people are sick. But I'm really saying, and I say this to all of you, in a certain way, we should wait to be asked, because they have cities that are so under control, you know, out of control. So we go in and fix it. They take the full credit for it, and they go out and say, I heard it this morning. They're saying how well they've done over the last 10-day period, that they set record lows. They don't say that we're there with very tough people, by the way. They have to pass a toughness test. Otherwise, they're not working for us. So, and we're allowed to do that now according to the United States Supreme Court decision. Now, they have to pass a toughness test. If they're not tough, we don't want them for this job. They might be great for other jobs, but not for this job, because they're respected. You saw the gang of kids. They were all huddled up, and a group of soldiers walked up. They never even got over. Those kids ran back to their homes or wherever the hell they came from. They were gone. This is one of the safest cities right now in the world, as crazy as that sounds. And it took 7 days. It took really 3 days, but we're now in our 11th day. So I want to thank you. So we had all of these things. 439 illegal alien criminals have been removed, and we have 6 known gang members, some of the worst leaders of gangs anywhere in the country, MS-13 and Tren de Aragua. We have 2 missing children that have been recovered. They thought they were gone. We brought them back to the family. The family started crying. They couldn't believe that they saw their child again. 49 homeless encampments have been removed. Like we have the head of South Korea coming in a little while, the president, and he drives down the street. Already, his people have told me, he said, what happened? It's so clean. We always came here, it was filthy dirty with homeless and papers all over the road. That's the other thing. Those roads are swept immaculate, but they're going to be much better in a few months when we put a topping on them. They're going to look like they're brand new. We'll get rid of those rusty old medians that have been crashed into 1,000 times, and they don't fix them. They just let them, they lay them down on the road and they sit there for months. But we don't do that. We don't run things. We run things like we run this. We like clean, we like beautiful, and we like safe, and that's what we're getting. So I'll start signing the executive orders. To me, this is a very, very big deal. One of the executive orders has to do with cashless bail. That was when the big crime in this country started. And I can tell you who did it, when, but I don't want to do that because others followed pretty quickly. But that was when it happened. Somebody kills somebody, they go in, don't worry about it, no cash, come back in a couple of months, we'll give you a trial. You never see the person again. And I mean, they kill people and they get out. Cashless bail. They thought it was discriminatory to make people put up money because they just killed 3 people lying on a street. Any street all over the country, cashless bail. We're ending it, but we're starting by ending it in DC, and that we have the right to do through federalization. Okay, let's go. Could I ask you to say exactly what this is?
Of course. So as you've consistently identified, sir, cashless bail policies are a key driver of the disorder we see on city streets all over America. Catch and release system allows criminals to keep going back out onto the street and reoffending. What this executive order does, it charges your attorney general with identifying jurisdictions all over the country that have cashless bail policies, and then it withholds or revokes federal funds and grants that are flowing to those jurisdictions to ensure that we're only supporting the people who have reasonable common sense policies around crime.
So what area does it cover?
Potentially anywhere that has a cashless bail policy. So some of the largest cities, some of the most left-wing states in America
Almost
have adopted.
all of them, right?
Illinois would be a great example of that, sir.
Oh, they have a great cashless bail. You don't even have to go to court sometimes. No, Illinois, I love that state. It's a great state, but it's run so badly by Pritzker. They threw him out of the family business and he becomes governor. Now he wants to run for president. I don't think that's going to happen. Okay, we'll sign right here, right? So important. And this isn't Republican, Democrat. This is, and by the way, most Democrats agree with us. But this is just, we got to bring our country back.
Nationwide is so much more than a great insurance company. They're one of America's largest financial services companies. Like how I'm more than just Peyton Manning. I'm also motivating Manning. When I say insurance, you say financial services. Insurance. Financial services. Insurance. Financial services. Now when I say nationwide, you say is both. Nationwide. Nationwide. For your insurance and financial needs, Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Investment Services Corporation, member FINRA, Columbus, Ohio.
That's a big one.
Also on the issue of cashless bail, sir, this is a DC-specific executive order. In addition to the measures that we're taking that are quite similar to what we're doing around the country, in DC in particular, the objective is holding as many criminal defendants in federal custody and subjecting them to federal charges as possible. That means that they'll be held pre-trial in federal jail as opposed to just being cut back out on the streets due to a cashless bail policy.
Okay. And by the way, the prison they have in DC is horrible. It's horrible. People were subjected to live in that dog trap for so long, so unfairly. I have stories, you'll be hearing about them. That prison is horrible. Okay.
This is an executive order that contains a number of additional measures relating to crime and law enforcement in Washington, D.C. It charges, for example, your Secretary of Defense with establishing specialized units in both the D.C. National Guard and the National Guard units around the country, specifically trained and equipped to deal with public order issues. It charges all of your various federal law enforcement agencies with hiring additional personnel to allow them to surge personnel to Washington, D.C. to deal with the current emergency here. It does a number of other things in that space, and it also asks the Attorney General to look at D.C. Metropolitan Police general orders that have currently impeded law enforcement efforts in the city, and to potentially look at unwinding those that are stopping the police from doing their job effectively.
And are we going to ask this to be codified by Congress, all of these things?
I think we could potentially, yes, sir.
I think so. I think we should. I think we'll get it. I think Democrats will vote. Well, I don't know. It's hard to believe that they might not, but I think Democrats will actually vote for this. There's no auto pen that can do that, right? Look at that, Pam. Is that a good signature? Seriously, is that a good signature? Who can write like that? Nobody. I don't know. That's the other thing. I assume we're looking at the whole auto pen scam.
Sir.
Because the person that ran it said he spoke to it briefly twice about nothing. That means that all those pardons that he gave to some very bad people, very unpatriotic people, very evil people, it looks to me like those pardons are worthless. Because number one, you shouldn't use an auto pen very specifically. But if you do, it has to be a very good reason. And they have to know that the president wanted it. The president didn't want this. The president didn't know he was alive, okay? He never approved any of this stuff. He wasn't for open borders and all the other things. He was never for open borders. I've known Biden a long time. He was never very sharp, but he was never in favor of open borders and all of the other things he did to destroy our country. Let's go.
Lastly, sir, this is an executive order on flag burning. It charges your Attorney General.
Would you listen to this? This is very important. Flag burning. All over the country, they're burning flags. All over the world, they burn the American flag. And as you know, through a very sad court, I guess it was a 5-4 decision, they called it freedom of speech. But there's another reason, which is perhaps much more important. It's called death. Because what happens when you burn a flag is the area goes crazy. If you have hundreds of people, they go crazy. You could do other things. You can burn this piece of paper. But when you burn the American flag, it incites riots at levels that we've never seen before. People go crazy. In a way, both ways. There are some that are going crazy for doing it. There are others that are angry about them doing it. Do you want to discuss that?
Sure. So what the executive order does, sir, it charges your Department of Justice with investigating instances of flag burning, and then where there's evidence of criminal activity, where prosecution wouldn't fall afoul of the First Amendment, and instructs the Department of Justice to prosecute those who are engaged in these instances of flag burning.
And what the penalty is going to be, if you burn a flag, you get 1 year in jail, no early exits, no nothing. You get 1 year in jail. If you burn a flag, and what it does is incite to riot. I hope they use that language, by the way. Did they?
Yeah, incitement.
Incite to riot. And you burn a flag, you get 1 year in jail. You don't get 10 years, you don't get 1 month. You get 1 year in jail, and it goes on your record. And you will see flag burning stopping immediately, just like when I signed the Statute and Monument Act. 10 years in jail if you hurt any of our beautiful monuments. Everybody left town. They were gone. Never had a problem after that. It's pretty amazing. We stopped it. But this is something that's, I don't know, in a certain way, it's equally as important. Some people would say it's more important. Because the people in this country don't want to see our American flag burned and spit on. And by people that are, in many cases, paid agitators. They're paid by the radical left to do it. You talk to these people, they don't even know, half of them don't even know what they're doing. They say, I don't know, they gave me money to do this. I see the same things that you do. They're bad people. They're trying to destroy our nation. That's not working, because I think our nation now is the most respected nation anywhere in the world, by far. You saw that with the European leaders on Friday. You saw that with NATO, where they agreed to go from 2% no pay to 5% fully paid up, trillions of dollars paid, where they respect your president to a level that they jokingly call me the president of Europe. They call me the president of Europe, which is an honor. I like Europe, and I like those people. They're good people. They're great leaders. And we've never had a case where 7 plus really 28, essentially 38 countries were represented here the other day. 38 European countries were represented. European and other countries were represented, and it was a great meeting. But your country is respected again. I say it all the time. 1 year ago, our country was dead. Everybody said it. We had a dead country. We were not going to survive. Now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. So it's an honor to be involved. And this group has a lot to do with it, right behind me.
Mike Keppel here, Patriot Software's founder. So easy, my dog can run payroll, said one of our payroll software customers. That comment sums it up. There's no training required to use our accounting and payroll software. You can learn it in minutes, and you don't need a college degree. Even though our phone number is on every page of our software, 70% of our customers set up their accounting books and run their payroll without ever speaking with one of our people. That's patriotsoftware.com.
Keep your time and money.
Does anybody behind me have anything? Pam, would you like to say something?
Sure, President. Thank you for keeping D.C. safe. You know, just a couple examples of a mother, a single mom, whose house was burglarized, and the defendant got out on cashless bail, went back the next night and burglarized her house again. That's why this is so important. A man got in a fight with another guy. He had a gun. He was let out. Next night, he got out, went back, and killed him. So that's why it's so important, President, what you're doing. And thank you for protecting the American flag. And we'll do that without running afoul of the First Amendment as well. And President, I think I think Gaddy Serralta had something he wanted to give you on behalf of all the law enforcement who are out there every single night.
Yes. Thank you for putting me in charge of this surge. As the director of the United States Marshal Service, it's the oldest law enforcement agency. It was created in 1789. So on behalf of all the federal law enforcement agencies that we're working with and those that have yet to join the team, we thought it was only appropriate to present you with an honorary United States Marshal Service badge. And this badge comes with this little item right here, which is a handcuff key, Mr. President, because you continue through your policies and your efforts with your staff to unhandcuff law enforcement officers all over this nation. And I can tell you personally that they thank you for that.
Thank you. That's beautiful.
So you can continue unhandcuffing law enforcement.
That's a very great honor. I'll save that and put it someplace up, which is important. Thank you very much, Gary. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Really nice. Thank you. That's very nice. Thank you. Well, we love those people. They're brave and they love our country, and they don't want to see it. Do you know how many people volunteered for this job? And before I ask the VP to say a few words, because he feels very strongly about it, I think it's very important, Pam, that when we do this, that a state they come and ask us. I mean, I see Pritzker saying, we don't want them. In the meantime, his city is being shot to hell. And they do that politically. And they probably do want it. If we didn't go to Los Angeles, you would literally have had to call off the Olympics. It was so bad. And the sheriff and the law enforcement people, but the sheriff said, and he came out very strongly, he said, if we didn't have these people, we were not able to control it. Now, 4 days later, after we had it totally under control, we did that quickly. He changed his tune a little bit. Well, I think we could have done it. They were dead. If we didn't send in the troops, Los Angeles was dead, the Olympics was gone, the World Cup was gone, everything was gone. We did a great job. And Newsom, he's an incompetent governor. But I think people should want us to be there, because otherwise all they'll do is complain as we do our job. So we'll have to think about that, okay? We go in, like in Washington, we go in and the people that are here that have been doing, I don't want to say terrible because she happens, she's a nice woman, I guess. I don't care about if she's nice, I really don't care. I want her to do, I'd rather have her be horrible but do the job. But we come into Washington and we have the 11 best days they've had here in 2 centuries. I mean, they've never seen anything like it. Let's go 2 decades. In over 20 years, they haven't seen anything like what happened. And now they're out there saying, we don't have crime in Washington. Well, that's true. For 11 days, you don't have crime. But before that, everybody was getting hit and mugged, and you people could not walk to your office without security. That's how unsafe it was. So I think we should really let them have their city, let their city go to hell, and when they come and beg us to help. The only problem is we want to save it for the people, because the people want us there. The people here, 95% of the people here want us. The real people, not the people you find on, I don't know where you find these people. You have one person that has a broken nose, where'd you get it? Well, I was mugged, good. Do you want to see Trump here with, no, I don't want. The woman has a broken nose. She got mugged. But she's saying she doesn't want any protection. It's all made up fake news. It's just fake news. I don't know where you find these people. Anyway, would you say a couple of words, please? And then I'm going to ask JD to say something. You have done an unbelievable job in a short period of time.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Highly recommended by you-know-who, right?
Yes, sir.
Do you want to say his name?
Mr. Youngkin, Governor Youngkin. Yes, sir.
We stole you from Governor
He called me.
Youngkin.
Right. He called me. Glenn Youngkin called, and he said, "I have somebody who's really fantastic." And based on that recommendation, here you are, and you've done a fantastic job. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Go ahead.
The men and women of the Metropolitan Police Department are back. They enjoy doing their job again. They feel the ability to go out and be law enforcement officers. They feel that they're connected to their communities again. They are making a difference. Thanks to you, Mr. President, and our federal task force, you are making DC safe once again. Thank you, sir.
It's going to get better and better. Well, it can't get much better. There's no crime. I read where crime's down 89%. I said, really? Who are the 11%? Okay? There's no crime. JD, please.
Yes, sir. Well, thanks, Mr. President. Thanks to the incredible team here. I want to echo something the President said, where you say there haven't been murders in a couple of weeks in D.C., and it doesn't sound good, but then you talk to local law enforcement, and I didn't realize that this town averaged 1 murder every other day for the last 20, 30 years, which means that in 2 short weeks, the President and the team have saved 6 or 7 lives, people who would have been killed on the streets of DC, who are now living, breathing, spending time with their families, because the President had the willpower to say, no more. We're not going to give the streets of DC over to vagrants and robbers and murderers. And the last point I want to make, sir, to your point about we want people to welcome us, to ask us, because look at Governor Pritzker in Illinois, or Governor Newsom in Los Angeles, or Governor Moore in Maryland. They are angrier about the fact that the President of the United States is offering to help them get their crime under control than they are about the fact that murderers are running roughshod over their cities and have been for decades. Why are Democrat governors angrier about federal law enforcement helping clean up their streets than they are about the fact that those streets need to be cleaned up to begin with? It shows a real sickness in the head. And I agree with the President of the United States. I think most Democrats, rank and file, nobody likes crime. Republicans don't like crime. Democrats don't like crime. Independents don't like crime. Why are Democratic governors doing everything in their power to make crime easier to do in their cities? It doesn't make an ounce of sense to me. But, Mr. President, I appreciate you being willing to help. And I hope these governors take you up on the offer, because we should clean up all of America's streets. It's the right of every American to live in safety and comfort in their community.
And we've got the people to do it. They're signing up like they've never signed up before. Our military, as you know, during the campaign, nobody was signing up. We were way short of their goals, we were understaffed. Nobody wanted to be in the military. Nobody wanted to be a policeman. Nobody wanted to be a fireman. They didn't want anything to do with the country. We had an incompetent, grossly incompetent president who frankly should not have been there. He should have never been there. The damage he did to this country is incalculable. I mean, just what he has done. So much of our effort are getting murderers and jailbirds and people out of this country who are drug dealers at the highest level. so much of the energy of people that he let in. It was an unforced error, but I don't think they think it's an error. But I don't believe he believed it. It was the radical lunatics that surrounded this guy at this desk, who are brilliant people, but with the wrong philosophy. There were some brilliant people, but they're evil people, and they're going to be brought down. They have to be brought down because they really hurt our country. But we're getting it back very quickly. And I'll tell you something, our country's now it's stronger. I think we're more respected than we've been respected in 100 years. It's a whole different ballgame. JD, could I ask you,
Yes, sir.
You gave a stat on murders here. What were the numbers? You said in a short period of time, how many people were murdered?
Local law enforcement told me, sir, that in the past 20 or 30 years, DC has averaged a murder every other day. That's, 200 murders a year, 150, 250, but about every other day a person has been killed on the streets of Washington, D.C. We've been doing this for 2 weeks. 0 people killed. That's real lives saved that the media and frankly the entire Democratic Party should be saying, thank you for saving lives instead of attacking the President of the United States for doing so.
You know, when a person, unfortunately, will probably happen at some point, when a person's murdered in D.C., it's going to be the biggest story maybe in history. Right?
Yes, sir.
Somebody was murdered in D.C. Trump is failing. No, we're not failing. We have a safe city. This is maybe the safest city in America right now. That's how good it is. And it would be nice to be appreciated. These people eventually, they're going to have to be appreciated for what they're doing. And they're going to have to be appreciated by the officials that are really happy when we go in because they've lost control of their place. Steve Miller, please, say a few words.
Thank you, sir. So just to, first of all, follow up on what the Vice President said. No police officer working in the city can remember a time in their lives when there has been no murders. You can work at the police department for 20 years, 30 years, your whole life. We've checked the records. No one can even find a record of being murder-free for as long as we've been murder-free under President Trump's leadership. Additionally, and the President spoke about this before, we've uncovered, in the process of uncovering, a massive scandal in Washington, D.C. with the doctoring of crime stats. And the Department of Justice, under the Attorney General, is leading the effort to uncover this. But when we ultimately share the results, it will stun you. The extent to which, even though D.C. had the worst crime in America, honestly measured, it dramatically understated how bad it was. There's even accusations that murders and homicides were reported as accidents instead of murders. I mean, this is how severe the manipulation of the crime data has been in this city, and it will all be uncovered and it will all be brought to light. I've had a chance to spend some time, as has everyone here, with the police officers in the city. Members of the public are going up to them and thanking them, just overflowing with gratitude, because for the first time in their lives, they can use the parks, they can walk on the streets. You have people who can walk freely at night without having to worry about being robbed or mugged. They're wearing their watches again. They're wearing jewelry again. They're carrying purses again. People had changed their whole lives in this city for fear of being murdered, mugged, and carjacked. It is a literal statement that President Trump has freed 700,000 people in this city who were living under the rule of criminals and thugs. And the last thing I'll say is that under the efforts of Terry, to my left and many here, what they found also is that the street criminals here in Washington, D.C. were doing business directly with the transnational criminal cartels, the foreign terrorist organizations. So not only was the city being run by these criminal thugs, but they were working with some of the most dangerous terrorist organizations on the planet to traffic weapons and drugs into this city. And what we are uncovering every day is shocking to us, and we look forward to sharing all the results with you. But President Trump, your leadership has uncovered some of the great public safety scandals of our life, and now because of you, people are safe and free for the first time ever in this city.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Hi there. Sorry to interrupt. Interruptions can be quite annoying, like a stuffy nose, getting in the way of your day. Wow! Afrin No Drip is here to provide ridiculously powerful nasal congestion relief fast for up to 12 hours. And it stays right where you spray it, with no drips all day. That's why we call it Afrin No Drip. Afrin, the wow is real. Use as directed.
If you know, in Los Angeles, Beverly Hills is, great place. I have a house there. I had a house there. I used to stay a lot of time, spend a lot of time there. And a great place. Do you know that I have friends, they leave their trunk open for their car because they know they're going to be vandalized. They don't want the trunk ripped off in order for them to steal what's in the back. They leave the doors open so when they go in to steal the radio or whatever they take, that they don't rip off the door. They leave the doors totally open so the criminals, when they go and open the door, they'll have to break the windows and kill the car in order to steal whatever it is in the car that they're looking for. And that's at a level that nobody's ever seen before. Nobody lives like that. I have another friend, he has a garage, and in order to save his garage door, he leaves it open so that people can just walk into his garage, take whatever they want, and leave. But all the cars are, so many cars, I've been told this by many people, stars, big people, they leave their doors open so the doors aren't destroyed by these criminals. All over Los Angeles this is taking place. And you know that, I mean, you've heard that. Christy, could you say a few words?
Sure. Well, Mr. President, I think one of the most impactful statistics that you used today was of the 1,000 arrests that have happened already so far, 439 of them were illegal criminals, which means they never should have been in this country to begin with. That they were in this country, invaded over our southern border or our northern border or maritime seas, and then they committed crimes against the American people. So by getting those individuals incarcerated, we've stopped those violent crimes from happening here in the city. And sir, they do. Exactly like Stephen was talking, they have ties to cartels. They have networks across this country and other cities. So by what you're doing here is gonna have a ripple effect in Miami, in Chicago, in other cities, because you're grabbing those networks and giving us information and targeting information to go and get more criminals across this country. So thank you for the work that you're doing. We have ICE and CBP, Federal Protective Services, Secret Service, HSI, all of our officers are working with all the other agencies every day here in DC, and they're so proud to have this kind of partnership. So they're so glad that you're letting them do their jobs again. And I don't know if you've heard, sir, but the recruitment campaign for ICE, when we were going to hire 10,000 new officers, we've got over 130,000 people that have applied and raised their hands and said they want to work with ICE. So no matter what the fake news says or what the media says about ICE not having support, they've got incredible support from the American people. People want to join them and help them do what they're doing to make America safe again. So thank you for that.
I was going to say that our recruitment drive, so it was dead. During the campaign, they couldn't get, every story was the Army can't fill up, the Marines, none of them could fill up. They were way behind. We couldn't get anybody to go into the military, couldn't get any police. We've just set records on everybody wants to be in, everybody wants to go in. And we're taking incredible people. I mean, the level of, you know, because of the Supreme Court, it's based on merit. It's all based on merit now. It's not based on anything else. You gotta, if you need strong people, you have to get strong people. It's all based on merit. But we're setting records in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, the Coast Guard. One of my favorites, because I happen to have created it, Space Force. We're very proud of Space Force. It's amazing what it's doing. We're leading in space now. China was killing us. Russia was beating us. China was killing us. We're now killing China. We are leading in space by a lot because of Space Force. So we're very proud. But everybody wants to go in. We went from not, and you know how bad that is for the spirit when every story that you were writing a year ago was that nobody wants to go into the military anymore. And if you're in the military, you know how deflating that is? You go and be a family. Nobody wants a job that you have. Well, now it's the opposite. Everybody wants to be there. And that includes police and fire and everything else. You're doing a good job.
Thank you, sir.
You're stopping a lot of wars. just the presidents we're stopping. We've stopped 7 wars, and really the number is actually 10. We're not including a couple, and we're not including in there what we did with Iran, stopping their nuclear play. They would have had within a month or two, they would have had a nice big nuclear weapon to use. That's not going to happen. That won't happen. Pete, go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. Well, Mr. President, thank you very much for your leadership. And the Defense Department is proud to be a part of this task force. Just like we have been down at the southwest border, where crossings are at 0. We've got national defense areas where we're working with Border Patrol to secure the southern border for the American people. Just like Los Angeles, where ICE officers deserve to do their job without being attacked, we're really proud to be a part of defending the nation's capital and ensuring it is safe and beautiful and working with law enforcement. And Mr. President, let me tell you, the morale of the troops, getting out there talking to them, They love this mission. They're grateful to be doing it, whether they're DC National Guard or other state National Guards. And at your direction as well, sir, it's just common sense to make sure they're armed as well. And so they were rolling out ensuring they're armed, capable of defending themselves and others if need be, supporting law enforcement, and we're proud to be there, sir.
Well, look at the mission you just accomplished with Iran. 36 hours back and forth, flawless. Every bomb hit its target. They went right down those chutes, dark at night, no moon, no nothing. Every target, every bomb went right down. They have a chute that goes right down deep into the mountain. And they shouldn't have put ventilation in, I can tell you, because we used that for our advantage. But what they did, and we had the pilots and even the people that took care of the planes, we had a whole group of people at the White House a couple of weeks ago. And you know, I didn't realize this, but they said, we've been looking at their predecessors, and then these were the pilots. They said, we gave them beautiful medals. And I'll show you the medal. Gave them a medal just like this. See? Just like that. They were so happy. Gave a lot of them out for that. It was an incredible job. You know, we had 52 tankers. People don't realize, so that they could refuel. We had many fighter jets, F-22s, F-35s. We had many. It was an amazing operation. It was flawless. Compare that to the operation when they went in with the helicopters crashing and everyone running around the desert, and the prisoners being taken. And that was Jimmy Carter. And what a horrible thing. This was the exact opposite. This was the exact opposite of what they did in leaving a very, very nice place. The Taliban runs a tough operation in Afghanistan, and I think it was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country. That was Biden. I was leaving, and we would have left through strength, tremendous strength. We would have kept Bagram, which is the air base, one of the largest runways in the world, one of the most powerful. You could land anything on it, many, many feet thick. You don't build them that way anymore. You can't. But we left it, and now China's occupying that air base. This was the most incompetent administration in history, the Biden administration. And you're just lucky that they lost, because if they won, you wouldn't have a country anymore. And so, Pete, you started up by saying the Department of Defense. And somehow it didn't sound good to me. You know, it didn't sound good. Defense, what are we defense? Why are we defense? So it used to be called the Department of War. And it had a stronger sound. And as you know, we won World War I, we won World War II, we won everything. Now we have a Department of Defense. We're defenders. I don't know. If you people want to, standing behind me, if you take a little vote, if you want to change it back to what it was when we used to win wars all the time, that's okay with me. All right?
That's coming soon.
You let me know if you want to do it. I think Department of War. It just sounded bad. He said, sir, on behalf of the Department of Defense. Defense. I don't want to be defense only. We want defense, but we want offense too, if that's okay. So you'll make a decision. But you know, as Department of War, we won everything. We won everything. And I think we're going to have to go back to that. In the meantime, I've stopped all of these wars. I've stopped them. A big one would have been India and Pakistan. But we stopped them all. We stopped 3 wars. Go to Africa. They like to say, oh, you know, let me tell you, I love black people. And I did great with the vote with the black people. But they say, he's a racist, he's a racist. I said, really? For 35 years, a war raged between Rwanda and the Republic of the Congo. And it was a vicious war. 9 million people were killed with machetes, largely. Hatchets, machetes. That went on for more than 30 years, but 34, 35 years. And I stopped it. In fact, the presidents are coming in a week or two to sign we have the foreign ministers, it's all signed, the war stopped. But I got it stopped and saved a lot of lives. The Congo, it's deep into deepest, darkest Africa. I got that war stopped. Nobody else could have done that. We did a lot of jobs. We did a lot of wars were stopped that nobody thought would even be possible. And I'll tell you what, the war with India and Pakistan, that was the next level. That was going to be a nuclear war. They already shot down 7 jets. That was raging. And I said, you guys want to do trade? We're not doing any trade. We're not doing anything with you if you keep fighting. You got 24 hours to settle it. They said, well, there's no more war going. And I used that on numerous occasions. Trade, I used whatever you had to use. But we got 7 of them stopped. And the one I thought would be easiest, frankly, was going to be Russia and Ukraine, but that turns out to be some big personality conflicts. It's one of those things, but we're going to get that stopped eventually. We're going to get that stopped too. 7,000 soldiers died last week. Think of that, 7,000. I usually say 5,000, but 7,221 soldiers died last week in the fight between Ukraine and Russia. And they're not our soldiers, but they're souls. They're living souls, and they leave their homes, and they wave to their parents, and their parents are so proud as they leave in a beautiful uniform, and a week later they get their head blown off by a drone. New form of military. It's a whole new form of fighting. So I would just like to thank the people that are behind me. Thank you very much. You've done a fantastic job. I appreciate it very much. We're doing a real job, and I'm so proud of DC. I passed it 2 days ago, and all the garbage is off the streets. It's terrible. I came in a month and a half ago. I'm driving down, and I see garbage all over the place. The streets were a pigsty, like I won't use the city's names, but you know what I'm talking about. There are plenty of them outside of this country and inside of this country. Baltimore is a horrible deathbed. It's a deathbed. I know Governor Moore said, oh, he wants to take a walk with me. He meant it in a derogatory tone. I said, no, I'm the President of the United States. Clean up your crime and I'll walk with you. But it's tremendous crime. But he was trying to be derogatory. He doesn't have what it takes. But he's trying to be derogatory. And I met him at the Army-Navy game. They said, oh, there's Governor Moore. He'd love to see you. He came over to me. He hugged me, shook my hand. You were there. He said, sir, you're the greatest president of my lifetime. I said, well, it's really nice that you say that. I'd love you to say it publicly, but I don't think you can do that, so it's okay. But no, sir, you're doing a fantastic job. I want to just shake your hand. Thank you very much, Governor. That was it. And then every time I see him on television, he's knocking the hell out of me. So, but that's all right. That's called politics. But Governor Moore's he's doing a bad job. Newsom's doing a bad job. All of their potential candidates are doing a bad job. I can't imagine Pritzker being even a candidate, but somebody said he is. He can't do the work, can't do the job. He's not temperamentally suited. So I just want to thank you all for being here. Do you have some questions?
Mr. President, is the Pentagon, and maybe the Secretary of Defense can weigh into, is the Pentagon preparing for military deployment to Chicago? And with what you said there, are you waiting for the governor?
We're ready to go anywhere. We have a full complement of great human beings. We're full. You know, our military is full. We were way empty 1 year ago. Now we're full. So we can go anywhere on less than 24 hours notice.
Are you waiting for the governor?
And we're doing a lot to interdict to stop drugs from coming in too. We have ships out on sea. You know, we have nobody coming through our border anymore. Nobody. Doesn't that feel good to know that you don't have prisoners coming in and, you know, killers, murderers? We had 11,888 murderers come in, led in by the Biden administration. Many of them have been captured, but we still have a couple of thousand that are out there. Some of them, 50% of them killed more than one person, okay? But a lot of them have been captured. What they've done to our country, these people that circle this moron that we had behind this desk, what they've done to our country is unthinkable. It's unthinkable. I mean, if you think, so much of our time is devoted to correcting a problem that all they had to do is say, close the borders. Remember when he said, well, I have no power to close the border. I have to go back and get an act from Congress. I didn't get an act from Congress. I came in, I said, close the borders. And Tom Homan, who's not here, has been fantastic, Christy, right? Yes. Tom Homan is great. He's a fantastic man and respected by everybody. But I said, Tom, close the borders. Christy, close the borders. The borders were closed. We didn't go to Congress and get permission. We just closed the borders. And in the last 3 months, hard to believe this one too, in the last 3 months, we've had 0 people come into our country illegally through the southern border. Nobody would have said that's possible. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today, MS-13 gangbanger and human trafficker Kilmar Abrego Garcia turned himself into ICE in Baltimore. Do you have any comment on this? And why are the Democrats so emotionally attached to this man who beats his wife and is part of a terrorist organization?
Because they think he's going to be good for votes, and I think he's very bad for votes. These people are deranged. He's not good for votes. He beat the hell out of his wife. His wife is afraid to even talk about him. She's been mauled by this animal. And, through a system of liberal courts, he's doing things. But, no, we have that under control. And Pam has got that very much under control. Do you want to comment on it, Pam?
No, we've got him under control. He will no longer terrorize our country. He's currently charged with human smuggling, including children. The guy needs to be in prison. He doesn't need to be on the streets like all these liberals want him to be. And as part of this operation here in DC, we've also taken off MS-13 members. We've taken, I think just last night, we got a TDA guy off our streets right here, right around from where we all work. Another TDA member gone because of this project. So we're going to keep America safe from all of these foreign terrorist organizations, including Abrego Garcia.
When a child is in the hospital, visitors come to say hello. And when visiting hours are over, they leave. But family does whatever it takes to stay. At Ronald McDonald House, we believe families shouldn't have to fight alone. So we make sure they have everything they need with a community of support, warm meals, and a place to rest. Because when a child is sick, family stays, and Ronald McDonald House stays with them. Donate today at ronaldmcdonaldhouse.org.
Okay.
Mr. President, if we could get your reaction, sir. The Israelis bombed a hospital in Gaza that killed 20 people, including 5 journalists.
When did this happen?
This happened overnight, today.
I didn't know that.
Any reaction to this? Are you
Well,
going
I'm
to
not
talk
happy
to Prime
about it.
Minister?
I don't want to see it. At the same time, we have to end that whole nightmare. I'm the one that got the hostages out. I got them out, all of them. Steve Witkoff has been amazing. He's done a great job. But I'm the one that got them all out through my people and through me. And now we're left with probably a little bit less than 20 because I think 1 or 2 are gone. And I said a long time ago, I'm going to get them out, but when we get down to that final 10 or 20, these people aren't going to release them because they're dead after they release them. So it's a nasty situation, very nasty, horrible thing.
Mr.
Yes.
President, could you please elaborate on your post on South Korea? What were you referring to?
Well, I heard that there were raids on churches over the last few days, very vicious raids on churches by the new government in South Korea. That they even went into our military base and got information. They probably shouldn't have done that, but I heard bad things. I don't know if it's true or not. I'll be finding out. As you know, your new president's coming in just a couple of hours, coming here. I look forward to meeting him. But we won't stand for that. We just won't stand for that. Yes.
Are you prepared to order National Guard troops, though, into American cities if those governors don't request the federal deployment?
I am, but I also think that, look, Chicago, everybody knows how bad it is. Everybody standing there knows. We know. You don't have to be doing any studies. They should be saying, please come in. Pritzker should be saying that. You know, I did a favor for Christy Whitmer, a good favor, I think, with the fish, the carp, the China carp. Did you ever hear of it? China carp. And it's taken over your Great Lakes. You know about that, right? And she came and she wanted to know if it's possible for us to do something about it. And I said, well, I'll do it. But I think it's appropriate that the person from Illinois, the governor from Illinois, asks also. It's a tremendously expensive project, actually. It's invasive, it's horrible what's happened. And we can do it with GSA and various people, but we can do it. We're gonna just have to see what happens, okay? We're gonna have to see what happens. But
you believe that you have the legal
but
authority
the
to
governor
order
of
troops?
Michigan came, was very respectful, asked for it. She's done a good job. I did that. I opened the Air Force Base, kept it open for F-35s and various planes, F-22s too. I did that for the state of Michigan at her request. And I will, and also at our congressmen. We have congressmen that are unbelievably pro-Michigan up there. But some of this stuff, like the lakes, the Great Lakes, this is a big problem that nobody ever talks about. Most of you probably have never heard of. We have a pretty violent fish that comes from China, China carp, Chinese carp. And you see them jumping out. They jump into boats and they jump all over the place. They've got a lot of energy. And there's a way of getting rid of them. It's very expensive. And I didn't get a request from the governor of Illinois, who is affected maybe more than anybody else, right? And I think until I get that request from that guy, I'm not going to do anything about it. And I feel the same way about crime. We go in, we will solve Chicago within 1 week, maybe less, but within 1 week, we will have no crime in Chicago, just like we have no crime in DC. But, you know, I don't like to go in and do it and then have somebody stand up and say what a great job he's doing on crime. And we don't want the military in our state. We don't want the military. Do you understand? Do you understand that?
Yeah, these governors will say
so I don't know.
there is no
We're going to
emergency
have a little
response.
meeting, I think. You know, I feel like we go in and we do it, like here. To a lesser extent with the mayor, she hasn't been terrible, but she hasn't been, you know, exactly saying, oh, great. She did say last night, I heard her say that, well, we really don't want the military in D.C. Well, that's, you know, not very nice, I guess. That's a little bit of a hit. But she's not as bad as some. We saved Los Angeles, and all we did is get criticized by this idiot that's running the state into the ground, right, where people are leaving. He should be thanking us, and he should be requesting us to be there. And the governor of Illinois should be. Chicago's a disaster. And the governor of Illinois should say, President, would you do us the honor of cleaning up our city? We need help. They need help. They need help.
So are you
But
waiting
without
for
that request, do you think you have enough
We may
authority?
wait. We may or may not. We may just go in and do it, which is probably what we should do. The problem is, it's not nice when you go in and do it and somebody else is standing there saying, as we give great results, say, we don't want the military. They need help badly. Chicago desperately needs help. Just look at the crime statistics. Look at the statistics that JD said about, even I didn't know it was that bad. That's terrible. But all I know is we're being celebrated because we went an entire week. Now it's 11 days. We went an entire week without a murder. And I said, boy, that sounds terrible. I didn't know how to, I actually made a speech. I didn't know how to say it because it's a great number. It's a great thing, but it sounds so bad. I mean, supposing you're from a foreign country, which is properly run and they don't have murders and things, right, so much, or in some cases virtually at all. And you have somebody saying, I'm proud to announce that nobody was murdered in the capital of the United States this week. It sounds terrible, but
Mr. President, Gavin Newsom, you mentioned Gavin Newsom on crime.
Gavin Newsom, yes.
Is there a federal mechanism you're hoping to use to fight back against his redistricting constitutional amendment, or is that
Well, I think I'm going to be filing a lawsuit pretty soon, and I think we're going to be very successful in it. We're going to be filing it through the Department of Justice. That's going to happen. And we're also going to be filing a lawsuit on blue slipping. You know, blue slips make it impossible for me as president to appoint a judge or a U.S. attorney because they have a gentleman's agreement. It's nothing memorialized. It's a gentleman's agreement that's about 100 years old, where if you have a president like a Republican and if you have a Democrat senator, that senator can stop you from appointing a judge or a U.S. attorney. In particular, those are the two, I guess anything, but those are the two that are very important. So we have numerous states where we have unbelievable people. Now, Jay Clayton was just approved in the Southern District, but he was so good. He was a top student, top schools, top everything, went to Sullivan and Cromwell, became the head of Sullivan and Cromwell, came down here, was Securities and Exchange Commission, ran it for 4 years during my term, like impeccably, beautiful job. He did an incredible job. And we went to court, and the judges, Democrat judges, voted that he could. That's the only way you get by it. But generally speaking, you can't do that because you'll have judges from the other party. So Jay Clayton just got approved, and he's in, but he didn't get approved by the senators. He got approved by the court system in New York, which was a great thing. And I had a big victory in New York, I might add. I saved myself $500 million with a fake, corrupt attorney general, a really corrupt person with a corrupt judge who was disgraceful, and they're being mauled right now by everybody. It's so corrupt, and it kept business out of New York, stuff like that. But the appellate division vacated all of that stuff that you read about. and we're going to do a big number on that whole thing. You can't have a corrupt court system. You can't have that. You have to have borders, and you have to have a free press. Otherwise, you don't have a country. But you'll be hearing about the blue slipping, because if you have not, you don't need two senators. You just need one Democrat senator with a Republican. The only person that I can get approved are Democrats, or maybe weak Republicans, but we don't want that. But the only person I will be able to get approved in any of those states where you have a Democrat will be, I can't get a U.S. attorney. I can only get a Democrat U.S. attorney. And this is based on an old custom. It's not based on law, and I think it's unconstitutional, and I'll probably be filing a suit on that pretty soon. Yeah, please.
During the campaign, you called Kamala Harris a communist, but the Biden-Harris administration, they never called for nationalizing a private company with the federal government like you're proposing with Intel. What do you say to some who say this is a bit hypocritical, and is this the new way of doing industrial policy?
Yeah, sure it is. I want to try and get as much as I can. If people come in and they need something, as an example, as a real estate person, if I have an agreement and I have any form of a stopgap where I can stop somebody from doing something, right? I have a covenant in an agreement, and they come to me and they say, would like to do something, but you have us restricted. If I do that, they usually have to pay. Now, in the case of Intel, it was interesting, but I hope I'm going to have many more cases like it. Intel came in. I met with the gentleman. I had a lot of respect for him. He came in under a little bit of a cloud. I liked his story. I thought he was good. I think he really means to do a good job with Intel. I said, I'd like to ask whether or not you'd give because the story, a lot of people said I invested in Intel. I didn't invest, but I invest my heart in it and my soul because I want the country to be strong. But I said, I'd like you to give 10% of Intel to the United States of America. Not to me, to the United States of America. And I said, if you have them as a partner, you have the United States as a partner, I think that would be a very good thing for Intel. And he thought about it, a little bit different, and he said, I like that idea very much. We have a deal. And I just made $10 billion or $11 billion for the United States of America. And yeah, there will be other cases. If I have that opportunity again, I would do that. And then, you do have stupid people say, oh, that's a shame. It's not a shame. It's called business. If somebody's willing to give you 10% of a company and you're not paying for it, and I will tell you, with a company like Intel, as you know, it's had difficulty. I want them to do well. I want them to do well anyway, but I want them to do well in particular now.
But isn't public ownership of a private company a new way of doing business in the business of the United States? Isn't that what you were sort of rejecting?
So are tariffs. So, as you know, the stock market went up almost 1,000 points on Friday. And it went up not because of this very, I think, terrible, hello? Who's that? Who is that back there? All right, get out of the room. It went up because of something much different. It went up because it was announced, CBO announced the numbers, and as you know, they gave no credit to tariffs. They said they made a mistake, that the trade deficit will be reduced because of Trump's tariffs, will be reduced by $4 trillion, right? Is that what they said, right? They said $4 trillion, and the market went up like a rocket ship because the tariffs are good. Well, tariffs aren't that usual. If the 7 wars I stopped, 4 of them were because of the fact that I had tariffs and trade. And I was able to say, well, if you do this, if you go fight and if you want to kill everybody, that's okay. But I'm going to charge you each 100% tariff when you trade with us. You know what? They all gave up. I stopped 7 wars. Numerous of them was because of tariffs. So, you never knew the word tariff. It didn't exist really, essentially, in this country until actually in the 1870s up till 1913 it existed. And we were the richest country. We were richer then, proportionately, than at any time in the history of our country. And then, stupidly, in 1913, they said, let's go to the income tax way of life. Let the people pay instead of foreign countries. No. We're taking in trillions of dollars in tariffs, and we're stopping wars because of tariffs. So that's not so normal either. But you know what? Other countries did it to us, and now we're doing it to other countries.
You ruled out boots on the ground in Ukraine, but how would air support as part of a security guarantee be any different? Those U.S.
Well, you
airmen...
really went from one question to the next.
Those
You
US
go from one, I expected he'd at least challenge me a little bit. Now we're talking about boots on the ground.
But U.S. air assets over the skies of Ukraine as part of a security guarantee, wouldn't those U.S. airmen also be
Well,
in
you
danger?
don't know what security guarantee is because we haven't even discussed the specifics of it, and we'll see. Number one, Europe is going to give them significant security guarantees, and they should because they're right there. But we'll be involved from the standpoint of backup. We're going to help them. And I think if we get a deal, and I think we will, but if we get a deal, you're not going to, I don't believe you're going to have much of a problem. But we'll back it up because I want to stop seeing people being killed. You know, when Biden was here, he gave $350 billion. You know this from covering business. $350 billion to Ukraine. I said that Zelensky's the greatest salesman I think I've ever met, better than P.T. Barnum, because he'd come to the country, he'd walk out with $50 billion every time. He actually came here once, he walked out with $100 billion. We're up to $350 billion. I got $1 trillion worth of rare earth that we have from the country because I felt badly for our taxpayer. But I did something else at the NATO meeting. They are wealthy countries, but they weren't paying. And we don't pay any money to Ukraine anymore. Do you know that? In fact, it's the opposite. They request through NATO, we deal with NATO. We don't deal really with Ukraine. NATO requests missiles. They want Patriots, they want missiles. We give the missiles to NATO. NATO pays us in full and does what they want. I mean, I think they give them mostly to, they can do other things with them too because we're dealing with NATO. We pay no money to Ukraine. We gave $350 billion to Ukraine. You know, if we didn't give that kind of money, and I was the one that gave the javelins, if you remember. I gave the javelins. They were very effective. They say Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. They were very effective with those tanks right at the beginning. But you would have never had a war if I were president. You would have never had a war. Just to finish, we spend no money on Ukraine anymore. We were getting fleeced by a president that didn't know what he was doing. To be honest, I don't blame Ukraine. I mean, if they come and ask for $100 billion, then they get it. But we were in for $350 billion. Now, we make money. I don't want to make money on Ukraine. I want the war to end because I want to save all those lives. I want to just save, but just so you understand, we're no longer losing money on that thing. We were losing money hand over fist. And now we don't lose any money. Now we sell weapons to NATO. Because NATO agreed, because of me, to go to 5%. They had 2% and didn't pay. Now they have 5% and they're all paid up. So they have trillions of dollars and they give us that money. But I really want the war to end, and we're going to get it ended.
Mr. President, it's been 1 week since the historic summit here with Ukrainian President Zelensky and European leaders all met here with you at the White House. You said you wanted to get this done bilateral as soon as possible. Have you spoken to Putin since last Monday?
Yeah, I have.
What is your conversation? Or can you share?
Every conversation I have with him is a good conversation, and then unfortunately a bomb is loaded up into Kiev or someplace, and then I get very angry about it. I think we're going to get the war done. It's tough. I thought that would be, of the 7 that I settled, I thought that would be the easiest of the group. See, you never know what's going to happen. You know, war, strange things happen in war. The fact that he went to Alaska, our country, I think was a big statement that he wants to get it done. That was not easy for him to go to Alaska, you know, for him to come here. But the fact that he showed up on a very successful day, it was a very successful day for other things. Because, you know, we're also talking about missiles, nuclear. We're talking about a lot of different things. We're talking about limiting nuclear weapons. We'll get China into that. We have the most. Russia has the second most, and China has third, but China is way behind, but they'll catch us in 5 years. We would like to denuclearize. It's too much power, and we talked about that also. That's part of it, but we have to get the war over with.
Well, I was down on my last dollar, then I started saving, cause the bank said fiscal restraint is what you're craving. So I put my earnings in a high yield account, let the savings compound and the interest mount. I'm optimizing cash flow, putting debt in check now. Time is my friend and not a pain in the neck. And we've got a little cash to rebuild the old debt.
Boring money moves make kinda lame songs, but they sound pretty sweet to your wallet. PNC Bank, brilliantly boring since 1865.
On Baltimore,
Yeah,
sir.
red tide.
Hey, thank you. On Baltimore, you said that you are going to have to reconsider bridge funding. Is that contingent on Westmore cleaning up the streets?
No, we were very generous to him on a bridge. You know, a boat ran into a bridge and the bridge came down like I've never seen anything. The boat was just, it just shows you the mass of that boat, the power of that boat. You know, people were up on that bridge, painters, they were painting the bridge and they were watching it happen. And they thought they were very safe. They all died. They were painting the bridge, can you imagine? And they watched the boat, the engines were off, and they watched the boat, and the power of that boat, the mass of that boat, went right through that steel just like it was nothing. It's amazing. It's called mass. Mass is a big deal. But the mass of that boat, those people all died. But they thought they were totally safe. Two of them were eating their lunch. They were, you know, whatever. They were watching it. They could have gotten off. Somebody did a very good job. A police officer called in and said, close the bridge, and he did it with power. Get everybody off the bridge, close that. That guy should get a medal because he stopped the bridge. A lot of people would have died, a lot more people would have died. The ones that died were the workers on the bridge. And they thought there was no danger because, you know, it's a big steel bridge. And it came down like toothpicks. It was incredible to watch that. It was just, and they died, they all died. But that police officer, again, the police do a great job. The police officer did an amazing job. And I heard the tapes. He would say, get everybody off. Most people wouldn't have said that. You know, when you see a thing like that, you assume it's going to, you know, tap the bridge and it's going to be rebuffed. The thing just came down. I've never seen anything like it. So he did a good job. In fact, I think we should get him in for a medal. The man that gave the warning, I listened to him. Everybody get off, screaming. Everybody off. He had the sense to realize that this could be a catastrophe as opposed to a ship that's, because the engines weren't working, it was just floating. It's an amazing thing that a thing floating like that with no power just knocked it right down like it was nothing.
So
Let's do that. Let's give him a medal. I've been thinking about it.
Mr. President, do you plan to investigate Chris Christie?
Say it what?
Do you plan to investigate Chris Christie?
Look, Chris is a slob. Everybody knows it. I know Chris better than anybody in the room. I always felt he was guilty. But what he did is he took the George Washington Bridge, which is very serious. He closed down the George Washington Bridge. And you had medical people, you had ambulances caught up. This thing was closed down. And obviously he knew about it. But he blamed the young lady that worked for him and another person, and they got into a lot of trouble. She ultimately was, I don't know, exonerated, but she got out of it a little bit. But she went through hell. She was a young mother, nice person. I knew her a little bit. And another man went to jail, and Chris got off. And so when I listen to Chris speak his hate, I say, oh, what about the George Washington Bridge? You know, tell me about the George Washington Bridge. He blamed other people, but he knew all about it. So no, I don't know if they want to look at it. It's not for me. If they want to look at it, they can. You could ask Pam. I think we have other things to do, but I always thought he got away with murder.
Mr. President, do you plan to make an endorsement in the Texas Senate race between Ken Paxton and John Cornyn?
Well, I'll make up my mind. I like them both. The worst situation I have is when I have two people that I get along with well. I hate it. And they all want the endorsement. You know, I'm almost 100% of the people I endorse win. It's a great honor. And I got, as you know, I got the largest vote in the history of Texas by far. Nobody's ever gotten more votes in the last election. I think in all the elections, the 3 elections, but they like me in Texas. So people are waiting for me, but I'd rather not comment on it right now. I like both guys. They're both friends of mine, and they're both good and very different.
There's some talk among congressional Republicans about another reconciliation bill. Where do you fall on that, and what would you like to prioritize?
Well, I don't want to do cutting. I want to save all the different things. I'm going to cut things that are unnecessary, but the one thing I said, and I gave my word, we're not going to hurt anybody on Medicaid, Medicare, or Social Security. And in fact, we're doing great on Social Security. We found 300,000 illegals on Social Security. We got them out. And, you know, things like that make Social Security very, very strong. So, no, I am very big into certain things, and one of those three, you could say three of those things, are Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. We're going to protect it. And so we'll see how everything works out. If we're talking about rescissions on other things, I'm always open to cost cutting. If we can cost cut, I like it, but nothing's going to happen to medical. We have something coming up, favored nations, where I'm going to be reducing drug prices by 1,500% where a pill that sells in Germany for $10 costs $150 here because of the bad price. And I was all set to do it, and then we had the COVID come up, and I had to focus on that because we had the greatest economy in history my first term. I will tell you that we are going to be doing numbers on the cost of drugs in this country that I'm not talking about a 20% decrease, which would be great. I'm talking about 1,000% decrease. We're talking about where a product would sell for $80 in Germany and $1,300 here. And we're not going to do that. We were subsidizing the entire world, and we're not doing it anymore. I informed the drug companies. I informed the world. And if the world wants to, if countries in the world don't want to go along, then I'm going to put tariffs on those countries, and we'll make more money. But they have to go along with it. So this is moving along rapidly. Dr. Oz is in charge, Bobby's group, and they're doing very well. And we're getting great cooperation from the drug, because the drug companies know it's unfair. You know, for years they'd say, well, we had to do research, and we had to do. I said, I don't care. You had to do research for these other countries also. They are ready to go, and I'm ready to go. And you know, if I pull that off, there's no way a Republican will lose an election. There's no way. All right, one more question. Steve. On Ukraine, Mr. President.
Steve. Back to Ukraine.
Watch this guy. He's the nicest guy I know, and he asks the most vicious questions.
Why do you think President Putin is so reluctant to meet with President Zelensky?
Because he doesn't like him. He doesn't like him. You know, they don't like. I have people I don't like. I don't like to meet with them. Sometimes they do like to meet with people I don't like.
So how do you get them together?
They don't like each other, really. And if we had a real president instead of a guy that got in there with a fraudulent election, if we had a real president, that war would have never happened. Putin actually said, if Trump were president, it wouldn't have happened. Happened for a lot of reasons. Happened because of Afghanistan. When he saw how incompetent Milley was and all these guys were, I think he said, wow, this might be it. Because it was the apple of his eye. It would have never happened if I were president.
Mr. President, you have built a relationship with Russian leaders and also North Korean leaders. As they are getting closer, how would that affect your diplomatic approach?
Well, I have very good relationships with Kim Jong-un, North Korea. I mean, a lot of people would say, oh, that's terrible. No, it's good. In fact, someday I'll see him. I look forward to seeing him. He was very good with me. We had 2 meetings. We had 2 summits. We got along great. I know him better than you do. I know him better than anybody, almost, other than his sister. His sister knows him pretty well. No, I know him well, and I got along with him. You know, I'm not supposed to say I really like him a lot, because if I do that, I get killed in the fake news media. But I got along with him very well, and we had no problem. If at the time Hillary Clinton won the election, you would have had a nuclear war. You would have had a nuclear war. We're not going to have a nuclear war. Once that happens, it's over. We're not going to have a nuclear war. No, but Kim Jong-un will meet at some point. I look forward to it, actually. But do you notice that since I came into office, you haven't had a problem with him? Hasn't been, you know, he tests lots of rockets. He does have great capability, I will say that. But I think a lot of good things are happening for our country, a lot of really good things. And the thing we're here today to talk about is crime, and specifically in D.C. I am so proud of what these people, every one of them, what they've done in D.C., because to literally stop crime on a button. I'd walk down that street right now. If I were, friends of mine are going out to dinner now. They haven't gone out to dinner in 4 years. They were petrified. Half the restaurants closed because nobody could go because they're afraid to go outside. Now those restaurants are open, and new restaurants are opening up. It's like a boom town. It's a great thing to see, and I'm very proud of the people behind me. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll come back for cables. If you guys just want to take cameras.
Back for the cables, just take your cameras out now.
Nationwide is so much more than a great insurance company. They're one of America's largest financial services companies. Like how I'm more than Saquon Barkley, the NFL's reigning leading rusher, I'm also the NFL's leading husher. Shh, hush up back there. Wow, I might have just set the hushing record. Well, almost. For your insurance and financial needs, Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Investment Services Corporation, member FINRA, Columbus, Ohio.